The male lead is diagnosed with only 1 year left to live, but unexpectedly later accidentally got the system. So he decided to become a hero. To complete the system mission, as long as the enemy is targeted by him, it will trigger fluctuations in his heart. As the shadowy female Ma Wang can't escape ovulation, then there are demon girls. Likes to wear other lazy socks. They are all locked into targets by main system. One after another is obsessed with the male protagonist. A new journey begins to unfold. Min Chin stood with a serious expression. Start the confession. I am Sires, a person of integrity. Not only that, he immediately told about his past. Not long ago I activated a system. What a weird system. When people are targeted by me, will arise from the depths of the heart. The current situation. Urgently a war broke out. With enormous loss. Soldier names. Helping each other escape in the middle of battle. When shocking news is announced. The intelligence level is very high here. The army manager's face was extremely nervous at this time. She ran away and told her juniors. Run away quickly. If one person can escape, then one person. The soldiers exclaimed obnoxiously. We are considered bait. Sires, now let everyone run away. He stood stunned and looked towards Ma Wang. Continue your introduction. I originally intended to refuse. But when he said this, he changed his tone. Until I encountered this battle. A girl at this moment with glowing red eyes. She used her power. Absorbed all the soldier's aura. Leaving him breathless. She just let go. Depressed face. Saying this is the power of the brave. How weak are humans? Said clearly, raising her hand. Slowly stick out your tongue and lick it. His eyes showed excitement. Exclaimed with a ghostly smile. Absolutely no match for my Day Wang. Now his identity has been revealed. This person is Ma Wang. Wang Bai right now. Bella seemed exhausted and fell to the ground. She lamented but still cared for him and said Sires. He also quickly ran away. The demon beast's level is too high to care about me. With my current Dike level hero. She couldn't stand it either. Seeing that, he immediately called her name. But she added harshly. An F-rank hero like you. No need to try to be a hero. On this side, Wang Bai doesn't seem to be as happy as before. She stretched and yawned. I feel so weak that humans are so weak. Makes me not interested at all. From afar he observed her. Nosebleeds ran down his face. He continued bewildered. I came here to protect the safety of the city. In such an important moment. How can I run away? Bella now had to exclaim. Because I thought he was too worried about me. Rest assured I can deal with her. She eloquently declared. I will definitely not run away from this fight. With a panicked expression, she turned to remind him. You're bleeding. The soldier with the green demon face came. Signaled to Wang Bai that there were still people here. He said he just stood facing them. The body can't support it, let alone say anything. Come to fight. That's all I heard from the demon-faced soldier. She immediately started fighting with her juniors. Finished looking forward. With an excited face, she spoke loudly without running away. As she got closer and closer. Towards the two of them, the demon-faced soldier. Spot more enemies and tell Wang Bai. There's still one person standing there on Wang Bai's side. At this time, he did not panic and run away, but slowly faced. Seeing that, he was already busy with the world war. The surrounding emitted a stream of light. Notification system. Log in to the system. I love a piece of wood. The first step. He blocked his energy when she was rushing towards her. But saw that she was using a savage expression. Stood in front of him and looked at him. The plan started when he turned on the power and activated. Because she was too big. At this point, she was able to grab his little head. He still didn't move or struggle. She approached the two of them face to face. She bared her jagged teeth in front of him. Looking like she was planning to do something. Her mouth now opened wide. And she kissed him in her arms. Then locked his mouth with her lips. The system again reports plus 100 attacks. He wasn't too surprised. Because his strength is inherently like that. Bella witnessed the entire incident at this time. Mold panic. With a shy face, she shouted loudly. Sires, what are you doing? The demon-faced soldier can't calm down right now. He just ran back with a panicked face. Wang Bai, what are you doing? I just glanced at the demon face. And knew my time had come. He used his strength to slash the soldier away. Wang Bai saw that the soldier was hindering her. She widened her eyes with a warning expression. And the two finally separated. She quickly stepped back and took a defensive position. He saw her do so, frowning face and wiping his mouth with his hand, causing Bella beside him to just stand and stare at him, with an embarrassed face. After that sweet kiss, she must also be surprised. I don't know why I did that, she exclaimed with a shy face. In the end, what's wrong with me? I didn't want to kill him, why did I kiss him? Her heart kept pounding, pounding, pounding. She thought that that human was playing a trick. He was now standing ready to fight with them. He said, pointing, for the safety of people in the city. Even if it means destroying my entire body. It's not a pity. He immediately babbled, raised his sword and added, come, I will fight until the last moment. But this time, demon-faced soldiers, still bewildered about 8 things to each other. Just now Wang Bai kissed that person. This guy said that guy responded yes. Last time I heard, Wang Bai has a small white check outside. Didn't expect it to be true. These two guys didn't fight but just kept talking. I heard that too, but I didn't expect it to be human. No wonder this person is so calm. Avoid and don't bother to avoid. Hearing so many things from your accomplices. The other demon face shouted angrily. Insolence is stupid. You dare to doubt Wang Bai's feelings for Day Wang. We are monsters. There are only dirty people. Just did this kind of affair. And right now she is still in shock. I put my hand on my chest and thought to myself. The story of me and this person kissing. Absolutely cannot let Great Ma Wang know. But just like that her heart beat faster. The excitement point now reaches 15%. She calmed down and ordered the subordinates to rush forward. Kill this person. Heard her say that right now he has been in a fighting position for a long time. Then he regained his composure and raised his sword. In front of the ghost-faced guy who did his job. I just saw him running to stand in front of me. Raising his axe, preparing to strike down. He now used all his strength. Using the sword to block the attack. The situation at this moment is extremely urgent. His sword just barely withstood a blow from him. But it broke into 2. And he was extremely frightened. Look at your sword. Only half left, and exclaimed. No, that blow broke my sword. And I was bewildered for a long time. Another demon face appeared in front of him. He flew like flying, with his heavy weapon coming to attack. Luckily he was able to sit down in time to dodge the other guy's heavy blow. Terrible power. So much so that a beam of light passed over his head. But he dodged it in time. Those streams of power still pressed down on him. His face was now extremely serious and remembering. Your defense is not added. But my attack power has increased by 100 points. And he finally got up. Cut this guy's axe blade in half. He seems surprised because he was so small. But has an extraordinary power. Another guy comes to take advantage of the opportunity. Didn't notice him hitting behind him. But he suddenly realized that his turn was extremely beautiful. And then with a determined look on his face, he used his strength on the extremely dangerous sword to send the green demon face flying far away. Only with his power, he was determined not to let anyone return alive to Bella while recovering from injury. Like seeing his actual battle like that, she was also extremely surprised. Yet he beat the demon beast away. This is not an S-class power, so he raised his eyes with a sinister smile. Think in your head that I must have been cut in half. And then witnessed the whole incident. Another demon-faced man came forward with a fiery look on his face. The atmosphere is just a skin wound. The voice caught his attention. He now toddled up and turned back, looking with a dangerous look on his face. He exclaimed, Wang Bai saw the sight of his henchmen were all destroyed. This time she took action. She used her super long legs to kick, making him below also have doubts about it. With the strength of his internal resistance, blocked this kick. But it's not very positive. Because it was too much for him. A huge explosion occurred, causing the entire scene to be devastated. Extremely serious. By large beams of light. The explosion was so powerful that it reached Bella's place. Seems to be just a remnant of the struggle. But she still has to fight it. Extremely difficult. Behind the smoke, The demon faces were extremely excited. Because this time they thought they could destroy you. They happily shouted loudly. Wang Bai has already suppressed him. Because he saw him on the ground with a face full of pain. The hatred of demon faces towards humans. This time it has reached its peak. He was afraid that Wang Bai didn't dare to take action. Then he rushed forward from afar with his axe and shouted loudly. Die human. His strength was also exhausted. I think this time I'm sure I'll die. But no, Wang Bai's tail is extremely flexible. I only saw that tail move once. Her face was now extremely dark. As if planning something, she controlled her tail to knock the demon-faced man flying out. Everyone was surprised by her actions. Her eyes were filled with excitement. Look at the demon face from before. She sent him flying 10 meters away. Even though she was beaten like that. But this guy was very stubborn and still managed to get up. His face looked at Wang Bai in question and said. Wang Bai just replied coldly and raised her voice. Can you guys listen to me clearly? No one is allowed to make a move. Her face was now out of control. Said himself excitedly. I have to personally educate this person. But right now her fluctuation index is up to 91%. The ghost faces outside are extremely happy. Because I thought of this person's name. Will suffer appropriate consequences. He enthusiastically encouraged Wang Bai to kill him. After which she expressed her hatred towards her best friend. Her face now gradually lost its humanity and held his head. His mouth opened wide and he spoke falsely to kill him. His eyes didn't understand what was going on at this moment. Turned around and looked at her with surprised eyes. And said okay. She bit his ear, crushing his ears. And only saw it at this moment. Her saliva left on his earlobe. Suddenly the system announced that the defense force was plus 50. He was not surprised. Just shocked. When this is the price we have to pay. When receiving power. His insides were extremely torn throughout his entire life. He always maintains his purity. But this time it made him cry out. Makes righteous people like me have to go through this. It's true that it's insulting my personality. But it's still very enjoyable. But he used the excuse not to feel sorry. His face was red, both embarrassed and thinking. Compared to the safety of city residents. What does it matter if I bear this little kiss? It's not just me. Wang Bai. At this moment, I also felt my own strangeness. She said shyly. Yet he actively did this to a human being. At this moment, a big question arose in her mind. Why she tried to do this to him? You also have to think and motivate yourself. Don't do such things. I'm a powerful monster, stop it quickly. It seemed like she gradually felt uncomfortable. To the point of exclaiming. Obnoxious. My body couldn't control it anymore. At this moment, he was flexible and added 120 of the demon-faced soldiers instead and blushed. But his mouth still trusts his master Wang Bai. Do you want to kill this person? Why do I keep feeling like someone else is interrupting and pointing directly at the event in front of me? Said rudely, opened his eyes wide and looked. Wang Bai is looking for the breaking point on him. If you don't know, don't say nonsense. While you endure those embarrassments. Just because the attack power is now plus 150. He thought in his head. Your score now. Surely that's enough to deal with these demons. I tried to use all my strength. His broken sword. And stabbed straight into her body. It's my turn to fight back. Seeing that, the surrounding henchmen shouted loudly. Careful Wang Bai. It was not easy for her to become Wang Bai. She also considered this case. And then took his tail. Squeeze his hand tightly. Not letting him move. Her hand was on his neck. Squeezing him tightly at this moment must make him very angry. She said it was worth dying for but it still wasn't enough. She used all her strength. Flew towards him and pinned him to the ground fiercely. The soldiers saw that outside. Cheer and speak warmly. Wang Bai really wanted to kill him, it was me. Stupid other names add to my thoughts too stupid. Wang Bai wanted to kill him. But halfway through she suddenly stopped. She felt her body become even more strange. But she suppressed it inside and thought. I must endure. Leaning close to him. His tone sounded like he wanted to eat him alive. She admonished the little human. Dare to confront us monsters. Suddenly, the animality in her suddenly arose. She couldn't suppress it. Her face was filled with anticipation. And spoke of his punishment. Now I will tear your clothes to shreds. Before you can react, she grabbed his armor. With a surprised look on her face and everyone around her, she didn't hesitate to spit it out. Revealing your seductive body made him extremely surprised. One hand still held his neck and spoke, so people can see the difference with their own eyes between his small and weak body and the body of the demonic beast. But in her heart right now she was extremely confused. Really want to see this person's muscles. When she saw that, she was extremely excited. Gave a satisfied smile. Animality in her. Wake up. The demon-faced soldiers outside, very bewildered by this action of Wang Bai. My eyes are an A and my mouth is an O. But they still chose to trust her and speak. This move of Wang Bai is heart-piercing. We all have to learn from it. Everyone thought her move was very skillful. When they saw her naked body, he was extremely surprised. I wonder what she did with her armor. He exclaimed in panic, "Where is my armor?" At this moment, he couldn't hide his uneasiness. Looked at her seriously, then said cheerfully with an expression that challenged her to raise her hand. When I came here, I saw that. I don't know what she is doing right now. She was telling herself with patience. Must be patient. Can't get closer. The wool can't get through at this point. Desire. Face darkened. Saliva just flowed out like that. Like there was something welling up from deep within my heart. Comforting words to motivate yourself. Can endure. Can definitely endure it. Didn't have time to finish the sentence. The system announced that the vitality score was up to 100%. Something was pressing on him. It made him unbearably grimace and try your best. But that was impossible, and then exclaimed that it was too heavy. And her body couldn't bear it anymore. Her eyes closed and her tongue came out. And so she moved her body. As she crawled closer and closer to him. Seeing her coming closer made him exclaim in disgust. I hate my current strength. It is absolutely impossible to defeat these demonic beasts. It has gone further than imagined. Causing Bella nearby to look shy. Clearly show the danger and tell yourself that they must be fighting. His face was so helpless right now. He frowned, his eyes indifferently advising himself. For the safety of the city, I can only sacrifice myself to make it big. After he finished speaking, he let her do whatever he wanted and went to work. He reached behind her, hugged her head, and spoke. Go, I want to increase my score. My strength. Your strength keeps increasing day by day. He had to trade a lot. At this time, the demon faces began to be suspicious. Everything seemed to go according to plan. When flexible, add 200. Defense plus 300 concentration plus 450 touch. Plus 700 intelligence. Plus 830 ring power. Plus 900 magic power plus 100 attack power plus 100. See my junior and Wang Bai. Just some petty people. But I've been gone for a long time and haven't returned yet. At this time, he had to go to the battlefield himself. When he arrived, Ma Wang was extremely panicked. The scene before his eyes made him drop it. The sword he holds in his hand. He shouted "Abi." Heard a familiar call. At this moment she looked up dreamily. I couldn't control myself. After the incident occurred, and he was so tired of being humiliated by her, that he saw Dai Wang coming. She and he are in a sweet position. The soldiers behind him respectfully greeted him. Dai Wang's face could no longer remain calm. His eyes had turned blue without realizing it. He was so angry. That's how you guys are. The message shows that the test is okay. Ma Wang caught Li was attacked. After being exhausted. At this time, he felt like he had changed significantly. His body emitted a yellow light. Seeing that, the new system said. All scores are doubled. Rank +1. But now a dangerous power is coming. That person is no one else. It was Ma Wang Buk Ri who was furious. A blue light emitted around him. Luke is extremely magical. He shouted loudly, I have to kill you. Seeing that things were getting very bad, he picked up his sword. Except to bear all the blows. Ma Wang held the gun with a doubtful look, not knowing if his current rank was enough. Wang Bai was extremely scared at this time. Try to explain to your husband. Dai Wang is not what he thinks. I don't have to listen to your explanation. But the scene was right before my eyes. Does Ma Wang believe what she said? Ma Wang doesn't listen at this time. Whatever she said, he rushed forward, with a face full of color. His eyes emit blue laser beams. He angrily shouted aha, and the ground suddenly shook strangely. Ma Wang immediately used speed. His altar moves as fast as the wind, causing the surrounding rock to shatter. Smoke and dust rose blindly. I saw him and his wife standing close together. He shouted loudly, moving away from Abi. Suddenly, I just saw you there and now you're standing in front of you without even realizing it. Ma Wang swung his blade with extremely large horsepower, making him unable to react at this time. Was immediately hit by the palm and was thrown 10 meters away. And then slowly fell. He fell down once. Barry now saw him like that and was extremely worried. She panicked and said, "Sires, are you okay?" Heard her say that. "But because I don't let anyone worry about me." He immediately sat up with a face full of pain. He hugged his chest and told her, "I can still resist." Just sat up. He was staring at Ma Wang as if thinking. Full of surprise, he continued. "This name came before my eyes. At a glance. Attack power is also surprisingly high." At this time, Ma Wang Buk Ri stood in front of Wang Bai, extremely angry when she once again betrayed him. Turns out this wasn't the first time he questioned her. Didn't she say there wouldn't be a next time? Her expression looked guilty and hesitating, not knowing what to say. Ma Wang's hand trembled. But this time, she didn't even bother to give him an explanation worthy of his conduct, although very angry. But Ma Wang still loves her very much. He said she still remembers those. "What did you tell me before?" He still chose to forgive and move on. "Next time I will keep you quiet for a long time." But right now, she had all the resentment she had suppressed for so long has now exploded. Her face is so angry. So in the end, why did she do this? The cause of everything was the guy. Ma Wang's face was extremely skeptical at the moment. "Don't know what I did. But Abi was so angry." She continued why he was so late. "Where did he go just now?" Heard Wang Bai say that. The soldiers had green demon faces. Feeling very confused, not knowing what happened, she got up angrily. He pointed straight at Ma Wang's chest. With a hatred of talking. He himself did wrong, but also threatens me with concubines. Ma Wang was extremely afraid that his wife would open up and be speechless. And she had changed everything for nothing. Her appearance now is extremely arrogant, criticizing Ma Wang for being so late. "What did you do?" said Wang Bai was angry. He turned around without saying another word. At this time, he believed that the teachers were scared. "I immediately thought I did it wrong. Go comfort the concubine, don't be angry, I was wrong. Just now I saw a lot of people running away. So I went to deal with them before Abi. I guarantee I won't be wrong next time." The three devil-faced guys saw that. Immediately admired the love between the two of them. Then kept talking back and forth. Him when he heard that cheesy love story. Immediately exclaimed, thinking in mind. When they weren't paying attention, they just ran away. My rank and that guy Ma Wang are too far apart. And then he and Barry helped each other escape. Before they found out. As he left, he also delicately asked about her health. "Can your legs still walk? Or let me carry you?" But she refused this offer. "No need for my legs to be a bit cramped, I can walk by myself." While Ma Wang is still coaxing his Abi, she suddenly cried loudly, covering her face. "Because I'm bored of being late. Causing me to be seduced by that person. A little more, then love is faithful. Our purity has been tainted." Ma Wang felt extremely sorry for Abi. Then told her to calm down. "Abi, don't cry anymore. It's all because of that person." Ma Wang was extremely angry. His face now became darker. Turned around to comfort his wife and said, "Now I will go kill him. Abi won't feel hurt, right?" She sees that he doesn't resent her anymore. But switched to that person's name. She happily coddled Ma Wang and hugged him as she continued. "Day Wang is my lifelong love. Even if I die, then we will also go into nothingness. How can love arise with another man?" Ma Wang is now falling in love. But it seems like something is wrong. He suddenly looked towards the two of them and shouted loudly, "You stupid people." The person who was already running didn't even bother to stop him. Seeing that, she immediately gave him a reward. See the devil's face. At this moment, I stupidly realized a guy spoke shyly. "Great day Wang." Just now Wang Bai gave an order. Don't allow us to get involved. Hearing that, he shouted loudly. Use your power to attack everywhere. A bunch of brainless idiots. A loud noise came out. Seeing that, he suddenly turned around and waited for Ma Wang's strength, destroying the rock right in front of Cyrus's eyes. He was a little startled and grabbed it. Chop her hand and say he's coming. Ma Wang escaped. Appeared before. Two people in an extremely heroic appearance. Huge and huge, emitting a terrifying murderous aura. He shouted angrily. You trash human. Dare to seduce my AB. The great Ma Wang is strong. Brandished the giant sword in his hand, creating a beautiful slash. Cyrus on the opposite side despite trying to defend. But Ma Wang's unstoppable force knocked him away. He could only scream in pain. Ma Wang's AB was next to him. I saw him being thrown 10 meters away. Cried out in pain. Is confused and doesn't understand anything. Sat silently in place. Cyrus was knocked away. He immediately breathed heavily and felt his body. My bones seemed to have been broken several times. Completely indefensible. This guy's attack speed is also not clear. I am absolutely no match for him now. From afar, great Ma Wang used his speed. Alter of hundreds of kilometers per hour. Rushed towards him. To his AB's surprise, he approached, came closer to him and roared angrily. I had to cut you in half. This is the price when you seduce my AB. Cyrus mutters to himself that he can't help himself. We can only level up further. Cyrus was so scared that his face turned blue, his eyes opened wide and his mouth screamed loudly. The system locks on the target. Suddenly from the side, there was a hand raised towards Ma Wang. Haven't waited for the system to lock on the target. Then, suddenly Ma Wang was loved by his own AB. Give me a fig. Turned around and scolded him. Do not harm him. Ma Wang was beaten. Causes his attack. Because of that, he swerved to another corner. Ma Wang was slapped and immediately froze on the spot. Not understanding why he was beaten. His AB then strongly walked towards him. Cyrus, not paying attention to the conversation of the two people behind. But just risk your life. Hanging on your neck, running for life and death. Just a quick thought repeating in my head. Ma Wang in the back is still confused. But ask again, who is your concubine? Why? AB. Why did she really hurt him? At this point she revealed her lustful nature. But turned his otherworldly eyes to the same thing. Her fierce tongue towards him. The system displayed the message Ma Wang. But Cyrus ran and thought to himself. Inside my head was attacked again. Level +1 and we've leveled up again. Can Ma Wang win now? Just promoted 1 level. She showed her lustful expression. His red eyes were thirsty for love. With a rosy face. And her naughty tongue. Makes her look extremely sexy. She had reached the limit of her patience and left. I can't bear it anymore. Ma Wang tried to grab her hand and hold on. You should still keep a safe distance before speaking. She has now lost her reason. But just want to have that person's body. This immediately made Ma Wang angry. Asked AB again. What are you talking about? Then she quickly said. Freed from Ma Wang's hold, she rushed towards him with hunger. Ma Wang could only scream. She said just now, I am the only love of your life. That. She no longer paid attention to anything else. Only care about your body. But want to be liberated. She rushed up high to catch him. Cyrus turned around and looked in extreme surprise. She quickly rushed down, hugged him and pressed him to the ground. Ma Wang stood behind, just helpless. Reached out and cried out. The system continuously reports life points +180. Focus power +140. Attack power +210. Sensing force +140. Flexible +230. He was also seduced by her and exclaimed. Now I can only let her arrange it. Ma Wang in the back widened his eyes in surprise. Speechless but stuttering. AB is all my fault. That's why people take advantage of loopholes. We are all wrong. Now we have arrived. Now I will kill this person. When she returned to normal, she immediately became angry like a wild animal. But screamed, don't come and bother us. With bloodshot eyes and sharp fangs. Ma Wang heard these words. It was like lightning struck my ears and I screamed. Like not believing in the truth. The system immediately announced Ma Wang. Buck Ri was desperate. Bella held the mighty sword and rushed forward screaming. Rank +5. Release sires. You shameless monster. She was licking her hand when, sitting on top of him, I was suddenly startled. Saw Bella rushing towards her. Sires tried to stop Bella but failed. He yelled at Bella to stop but it was too late. Her tail immediately rushed towards Bella. Her tail immediately wrapped tightly around Bella's body. Bella then forcefully pushed Bella into the rock next to her. Bella shouted dangerously. She still didn't care, but satisfied to take over his body. She used her naughty tongue, which left traces on his body. She also doesn't understand herself and wonders, why did I become like this? I feel I'm not the same person I was before, but there's a bit of joy in my heart. She immediately put on her most suggestive appearance. Ma Wong stood next to him and was so angry that he was shaking. The hand holding the sword was unsteady and he stammered, "My fire is my fire. I'm not willing to be your scumbag." He shed tears and looked up to the sky. He shouted angrily. Then he quickly rushed towards both of them. He shouted angrily, "I have to kill your couple." Then hit hard. The giant sword in her hand came down. And she was a bit scared right now. Opened her eyes wide and looked towards Ma Wong. As she thought, both will probably die by Ma Wang's sword. Then suddenly, Ma Wang's sword suddenly stopped. She immediately turned away without paying attention. Ma Wong knelt down and screamed in pain. I still love her. She still doesn't care, but enjoyed him as her toy. Then Ma Wong immediately turned to stone. Ma Wang's sword immediately fell to the ground. Then from the middle of Ma Wang's body, a stream of blue light emitted. The system immediately announced that Ma Wong had been checked. Buck Ri completely collapsed and was about to explode. She immediately shouted in surprise at rank +3. Ma Wang's soldiers behind were also scared, but compete with each other to shout Buck Ri. What do you want to do today, Wong? We were innocent and did not resist the order to flee. At this time, all the soldiers had already run away. Ma Wong was preparing to activate the self-explosion mechanism. If you want to be blown to death, why run away? Sires looks extremely rushed right now. Holding the sword and running forward. Wanted to launch a decisive attack. Right away. That Ma Wong seemed impossible to avoid. His lightning-fast attack immediately hit the tide and fell backwards. And towards him. At this moment, he looks extremely arrogant. Standing in midair. Become a phenomenon that everyone must look up to. At this time, the display system trains the body to turn into a shadow. Flash speed is 5 meters. Surrounding enemy launches a slash. Seeing Ma Wong taken down so quickly, lying on the ground, Wang Bai couldn't control his fear. Move backwards. Make audible sounds. Immediately afterwards the explosion paused. Sires now saw the sword in his hand was broken in half. He was also a bit surprised that his strength was so strong. But only with a fragile sword. Will not be able to launch major attacks. Next, if you don't stop upgrading, probably can get more skills. Wang Bai couldn't hold back. My own painful feelings. But now, seeing the sight of an inherently talented partner, was defeated, making her extremely sad. Phew, isn't that right? He wasn't like that last time, but not the second time. You should be calmer. Why are you breaking down? Suddenly right now? The other Ma Wong slowly jumped from the ground. Fly up. Rushed straight towards Wang Bai. Making her extremely startled. He didn't say anything. Suddenly rushed forward and hugged Wang Bai tightly. Took up all her comforts. She was surprised by this action. When you're not mentally prepared, just scream loudly. Ah. Less than a minute later. He immediately let her go gently. But a moment later, he moved closer to her body again. Then spoke slowly. Love the way people keep their promises. Come and die with me. But now, she still wants it. See your own future ahead. Immediately struggled and said, I don't want an announcement to come at this time. Pastor is about to explode. Feel extremely hopeless about his immediate situation. Now she can only scream with all her strength. Please don't let me go. Aha, let go and save me. At this moment suddenly a sword came from far away. Cut a line. Separate the two people. They came out together. Right after that Sires held his hand tightly. Of love pulled her away. Making that Ma Wong unable to hold back. He was extremely helpless. When you can't keep the person you love together endlessly, immediately helplessly shouted love. As expected, an explosion occurred. Makes the whole space right now surrounded by a blinding light. And the soil and rocks were also torn up into broken pieces. And all three of them fell aimlessly in the air, after being pulled out of Wang's body by sires. At this moment he just pulled Wang by, just holding Bella tightly, having escaped the explosion safely. All three of them immediately rushed down. Somewhere has been abandoned for a long time so that he can rest. Now he is lying on the ground. He rubbed his chest with his hand and panted. Is this falling to the bottom of the city? Only then did he look down at his body. Immediately discovered a small animal sleeping. Extremely docile. Immediately said yes, as if there was a noise that suddenly woke him up. Look in his direction. This is the magic beast's main body, Lam Lang Chi Hai. The 9 bloodless magic power is still not over yet. This surprise has come. Surprisingly, that magical beast is extremely intelligent. Immediately crawled into his pocket. Bella's whole body was extremely sore. She slowly sat up. The round buttocks are now constantly moving. Flicker. She raised her hand to rub her head and said, "Ooh. Wow, it hurts. So much." But right now, he was lying underneath Bella's body. At the same time, the display system was successfully destroyed. Ma Wang Pallister. Get rewards. Map of the city. Accept or not accept. When he saw such a reward, he was immediately surprised. Map. The scene before your eyes is extremely hot, causing him to think uncontrollably and make his nose bleed. Can I finally open this map? Need to think carefully. Bella finally figured it out. Strange things are happening. Immediately looked down and suddenly said love. Because of his shy actions, she immediately rolled to the side and spoke frantically. I'm sorry. I still can't believe what it is. I'm just too handsome. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. Her expression was now extremely shy. Turn back. On this side. Immediately raised his hand to touch the system screen. Accept this reward. Now on the map. Immediately displays the symbols for the trapline. Resources immediately after. He immediately chose to open the map from the system. And pondered the things on the map for a while. Now, he just started looking for the marked locations. A series of thoughts about sugar appeared in his mind. Resource trap. All the rooms are marked with. Which seems to be felt myself. Can understand things on the displayed map. I couldn't control my joy and shouted loudly. That's great, you can go directly to the boss room. No need to worry about getting lost anymore. Bella tormented herself after a while. Now she can regain her emotions. Initially retreat to his side and then speak. What are you talking about? Did you see something? Seeing her look so curious, he immediately became stuttering. It's nothing. He thought a little embarrassed now. This system is only visible to us. After a while, he stood up and reached out to support her. Then say let's go out. Heard him say that. She did not protest but immediately agree yes. For now. Inside, his body seemed to react. His heart felt like it was being squeezed extremely painfully. And his face also changed. Not as good as before. Right after that, he immediately vomited something extremely strange. Bella stood on the other side. See such a scene. Immediately became extremely panicked. Ask you what's wrong. Why suddenly? At this time, his body also had a bit of an unusual change. Veins began to appear on his hands. Extremely strange. He immediately hugged his arm, screaming in extreme pain. It seemed like something was corroding Celit, causing his arm to gradually melt. He was in pain and kept screaming His whole body couldn't control it right now. Severe pain came. Makes the brain almost want to stop working. He was lying on the ground. His mouth kept shouting not pointing his finger. But his body became more and more out of control. Continuously releases purple liquid. Extremely strange. Suddenly at this time, a hand reached out to hug him tightly. Try to keep him calm again. Bella became more and more worried. When I saw his appearance, he didn't look very good. Immediately hugged him and lay on the ground. The pain kept moving throughout his body. Makes you scream loudly. Now he feels things are changing. More and more. She thought her back was bleeding. I can't let him rub on the ground anymore. The seed's body was so hot it felt like it had been burned by fire. After a long time, his finger also seemed to turn into a spark. Small ashes still smoldering. Because of the pain, he kept screaming. Well, didn't expect that the finger would stop at this moment. No more burning, making him breathe a sigh of relief. His body was also tired after a long struggle. In order to relieve his pain, he lay motionless on the ground and in Bella's lap, then let out a long sigh. Okay, can finally calm down. After a recent crisis, he calmly said he had stopped. Bella waited for him to sit up. Slowly his face became extremely worried to reassure her. He immediately told me no. Look at. His melted finger almost disappeared. At this point, she panicked and asked Sires, "What's wrong with your body? Why does it melt?" After a while he realized the reason. Why his body? There was such a strange change. Immediately turned back to talk to her. "I've been poisoned." At the same time, he also remembered about half a year ago. Demonic beasts attack the city. The image of the demonic beasts is extremely ferocious. Constantly chasing behind him, they bared their fangs and claws, carrying weapons. He said, "I saw some magical beasts fighting with a guild hero." At this time the other hero. "It seems like I fought back to the point of tiring myself." Inconceivable. He said it looked like they were fighting over a box. Right after that, they seemed to have captured his body. With no more strength left, he savagely moved forward. Right now, his face became extremely surprised when seeing just one basic swipe, immediately causing the sword to break in half. Even so, I still see him holding the box tightly in his hand. That box was slashed by a demonic beast, and the magical aura emitted was extremely powerful. Covers the whole space, causing it to become stuffy, overwhelming everything. At this time the city became a desolate and ruined place. There is no longer any life that can exist here. He said, "I also suffered from their fight." Buried in the rubble, his body was now extremely disheveled, lying under a pile of rocks, unable to move. At this very moment, the box in the brave man's hand. Now some extremely strange liquid is flowing out. Down on the ground, he raised his face and looked up at the sky, where the strong aura of dark forces emanates. The sky rained blood. After the liquid soaked into the ground, he is also a person subject to its influence. But because he was able to avoid the pursuit of those demonic beasts, he could only cover his mouth and sit in a corner. I was so shocked that I wanted to vomit. That brave man couldn't keep the box in my hand. One more moment, as he was continuously flooded with liquid, corrodes the whole body. More and more, those demonic beasts became more cunning. Looked in the direction of that brave man. Is gradually melting and forming a scar. The sty is no longer out of shape. A person who only knows how to scream loudly. "Ah, my body is melting already." Right now he still can't stand it. He put his hand tightly over his nose to prevent that disgusting smell. "I can't stick with you anymore. I'm still in the pile of rocks. Do not directly touch the blood rain. But when I smell it, I still get poisoned." I felt like I was lying under this pile of rocks, so incredibly long that it's unimaginable how much pain his body is now. He thought my back hurt too much, like it's about to melt. After escaping from the pile of rocks, the other is immediately someone kind, taken to the hospital for examination. When I woke up, I was already at the hospital. The doctor told me I only had 1 year left to live. At this very moment, he found information that was beneficial to himself. Demon body blood can detoxify. While sitting on a hospital bed, he continuously browsed the system to find a way to prolong your life. Or not. Then accidentally discovered something extremely strange. He immediately said, "What is this?" Immediately after that on the display system. Does force the system to become a player. Receive a hint of demon body blood. Whether or not it seems like your will to survive right now. Extremely powerful. He immediately clicked on yes. The system continues to move to another page. At this time, the blood demon body is in the city. Bella just listened extremely attentively. Immediately helped him up and took steps forward. "Later, I will know how to detoxify both of you in this city." They very carefully moved forward. His body now seems to have no strength left. After a moment of writhing on the ground in pain. Now he immediately told her. Let's go, there's a room ahead. There are some clothes and weapons in there. We get there first. Hearing that, she couldn't refuse. Immediately agreed and said yes. The two of them moved forward slowly. There was a very strange group of people right now. Is moving inside of a large room. They were like an army of guards guarding the steps. Walk around. But suddenly, at this time, there was a guy who unfortunately stepped into a trap. His face became extremely surprised. Immediately after that, a beam of light emitted. Penetrate the armor of the crowd. Those who are lucky enough to avoid it will be fine. And the unlucky person is immediately hit by the attack. Shout loudly, the leader right now. Immediately notify everyone. The agency had an unfortunate person who was hit by an attack. Immediately spit out a large mouthful of blood. Then fell on the ground. DNY was the deputy leader of the raid team at this time. See the scene before your eyes. Immediately shouted loudly to warn everyone. Everyone, don't move when hears such an order. Everyone stood still looking in his direction. Now he continued speaking. If you move haphazardly, it is very likely that other organs will be delayed for everyone at this time. All eyes turned to each other. Towards the body, lying on the motionless ground there. Then said, even Selit has the strongest defense among us. Was also hit in the head. How does this road pass? The people in the cannon fodder group were sent as bait. Then there were no more beer makers and suddenly came from behind. A sound of footsteps. Slowly moved towards their group. Then said it was very difficult to get here and couldn't go back. Selit, captain of the extermination team, finally spoke up to everyone. Old rule. Whichever name is the lowest level comes out. Ma Gyu is a member of the subjugation team. But he is only at the dike level. Was immediately offered up as a pawn to be sacrificed. At this time, the captain's appearance became extremely fierce. Holding the sword, looking in his direction, he said, go through and find the correct route. Ma Gyu doesn't know himself. Be prepared to endure hardships. In front, he looked towards you and said coldly, surely you know the consequences of disobeying orders. His eyes now became extremely scared. His whole body was sweating so much that he couldn't control it. And DNY immediately stepped forward. Took out something extremely strange. Brought it in front of the captain and said, wait a minute, I'll make a name. It can jump back and forth so it can find its way like that. Scale organs can be at least partially detected. Survival increased. However, the involuntary sword of that bad captain immediately scrolled past, causing the round thing to break into two pieces. Ma Gyu was thinking just now, I myself will have a chance to survive. But now he is completely desperate. Looking at the item that was cut in half, the captain once again looked towards DNY. Shouted in extremely ferocious nuance. Let me see you do these junk things too. I killed you. Because him is the most powerful captain of the team at this time. So DNY cannot resist. Just look. My treasure created on the ground can no longer be used. And the other name is Selit. Still not at all forgiving Ma Gyu. A path of living that is directly oppressive. Causing him to tremble and stand up to find his way. His whole body is now uncontrollable. His fear trembled restlessly. Sweat also poured out more and more. After the captain's serious words. Go quickly. There's no turning back anymore. Now there is only one path. Is to move forward each. His footsteps slowly stepped up. At this time, he placed one foot on another brick on the ground. However, his facial muscles also became stubborn. Like praying, nothing will happen. As expected, it's still very normal right now. He took a deep breath and thought. Edema doesn't hit the organ so well. But the difficult problem now is getting through a passage. But there's still a long way to go. And there are still many squares that need him to step on. What step should I take now? This or this? The captain is standing in the back. Almost lost patience. Immediately shouted in his direction and said, what kind of delay? Don't waste everyone's time. He's getting more and more out of control. Myself, trembling more intensely. He didn't want to die. Just like everyone. Everyone wants to go through this place safely. But I can't turn back anymore. Could only make gurgling sounds. Selit was still watching Ma Gyu's every step. Extremely strict supervision. Every step he takes. This time it became even heavier because of fear. Aha, but the name. The captain's face was still extremely ugly. Go ahead, is now in his head. Extremely negative thoughts constantly appear. Will definitely die. Uncontrollable tears kept flowing. Like an agency. No longer under the control of the human body. Fear covers the entire consciousness inside. And his spirit. Now it feels like I'm being tortured every time. I can't walk anymore. Right now it seems. He made a decision. For yourself. His footsteps became faster. And he did not continue. But turned around to look in the captain's direction. Shout loudly, I don't want to die yet, I want to go home. Immediately. He immediately stepped on a sinking position with organs. Causing everyone to suffocate. With a stream of light. Immediately emanating from below the organ. Went straight through Magu's head. Merciless. At this moment Jenny's face. Was unable to control his emotions. So I said, this time it's an attack from below. Maybe the agency this time. Every time the attack position is different. Anyway. Every time the attack light suddenly appears. It's impossible to figure out where it comes from. And the attack cannot be avoided. Magu's entire body immediately collapsed to the ground. As if the previously chosen pawn had died. Immediately had to find another pawn to explore. At this time, Selot's money returned. Looked coldly at their group of people. Said that now the lowest level stood up. But suddenly the door on the other side opened. Causing everyone in the group to be surprised. One person standing behind immediately shouted loudly. Said Captain Selot to open the door. Heard like that. He immediately turned his head to look back. Sires walked inside. Saw everyone standing there. Immediately extremely surprised and speechless. Next. He immediately raised his hand to scratch his head and said, why did they come here? One of them immediately said. Their captain was the decoy team. Right now when he saw the extremely strange scene. It's the two of them. Still standing here peacefully. He immediately thought. The people of the decoy team should be killed. This guy probably wants to disobey my orders. Run to this place. Jenny was also extremely worried about his safety at this time. Immediately said, sires, you're fine. Selot's face became more and more unsightly. Said, grimacing uncomfortably. Sires, the creature is still alive. Seeing his appearance like that. He's not very friendly either. Immediately said. Oh, suddenly. At this time, he immediately remembered the time before the presentation day. Suddenly a sword rushed forward. Standing in front of him. His tone was extremely unpleasant and he shouted loudly. Selot looked extremely aggressive. Pointing the sword at him was extremely angry. How do you know the color of my wife's underwear? The juniors are behind right now. Can only stand next to it. Said softly. Captain, calm down first. Sires is cornered. It is impossible to respond firmly. Immediately became flexible. I'm for the next fight. Which trains your intuition, so I can feel it. All the colors of surrounding objects. At this time, the other captain could not swallow this anger. Immediately picked up the sword and cursed at the dog. You clearly explain your relationship with my wife Sujiam. If not, no ya will cut you now. Junior's out of fear. In his anger. But killed important people. Immediately held it tight and said. Captain. Relieving anger, killing people in the city is illegal. After such a period of forbearance. At this time, he couldn't control himself anymore. Immediately stood up and shouted in his direction. I absolutely do not allow it. You slander my character like that. Now I perform for you. See my training results. Right after. He looked towards the group of people and said one after another. The two of them are not wearing pink, but they are lovers. But they are in control. At this time, that junior couldn't bear it anymore. Immediately turned back to talk to the captain. Captain, I agreed to kill him now. But the guy standing on the left. Immediately stopped it. Absolutely not. You can't kill him in the city. Its body was discovered. Everyone gets into unnecessary trouble. Selot heard this and immediately felt it made a lot of sense. Immediately said so, what should you say? The group of people looked towards Sires. At this moment, his face was extremely tense. Let alone arrange him in a bait nest. There's no need to take action yourself. Even if they think of a million ways to get rid of you. But what they did not expect. That you are still safe to return here. I was changed to new equipment for a round trip here. How can I still meet the extermination squad? Are they lost? Seems to have found someone else more suitable to guide them. Right away. Celit immediately pointed her finger in his direction and ordered, Sires, you come over here and I'll assume the position of leader of the extermination team. Commanded him. Seeing that his face was still extremely calm, he shouted loudly, over here. But he knew what he was about to do. Wanted to let low-level team members make beer. Why is Jenny worried about his safety? Don't move. Right away. Later, he immediately pointed in his direction and said to the captain, Captain, if they are alive, go there. We just need to go their way. It's okay to go around the office. There's no need for team members to take risks anymore. After hearing something like that, Celit's expression became even colder, more sinister. Looked in Jenny's direction and said, because of canceling this sea-level citadel, big boss, we have lost more than 10 combat team members have value. There's no time to turn back anymore. But, with someone with an honest heart like Jenny, I can't bear to watch anyone else step forward, be a pawn and sacrifice your life, and then wasted his life. But Celit immediately spoke, I'm just thinking about the team. If you don't like it, then go away. Heard something like that. His face also became helpless. Speechless. That captain doesn't seem to care about anyone else except him. He immediately said, haven't your intuition been trained? Now you should also contribute to the team. You should clearly understand the consequences of disobeying orders. Right now. He immediately ordered the system to open the map. Then looked towards the direction of the crowd. They said, oh, Bella was worried about work. If you go forward, can be in danger at any time. Immediately stopped it. Sires, don't go there. This road seems problematic at first glance. We'll find another way. But before she finished speaking, he stopped her. The captain ordered me to come over. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with me. Will you move forward one? A little less worry. Each step slowly, making everyone extremely surprised and exclaiming, he has moved. He did not hesitate and took the first step. A member. At this time, I also witnessed his courage. Then said, is that F-rank guy serious? Do you really rely on intuition to judge? At this time, the system also gave you a notification. Go forward 3 spaces, then turn right 2 spaces. He immediately moved according to each step of the instructions. As he walked, he muttered to himself to go forward 3 squares, then he walked very proudly, causing the crowd to stay behind. Everyone was in awe. He walked straight 3 steps and it was still okay. This guy is really lucky. Maybe a few more steps will. Now, he continued to turn around and follow the instructions. Turn left 2 spaces. The people are behind now. Becoming more and more surprising. When you can walk through so neatly. He turned around and took another step. But right now, his steps stopped on a brick, causing the people behind to say in surprise, are you pedaling correctly? No, not yet. At this moment he still stepped forward very decisively, without any worry or fear. They couldn't believe their eyes either. I didn't expect someone to be so lucky. Constantly exclaiming, this guy takes every step without hesitation. Is it luck or does he know the correct path? How could he know? She got intelligence. Topography of the front half of the citadel is a loss of 10. Some intelligence officers. An F-rank hero like him. He was not qualified to contact intelligence. And immediately jumped up. It was enough to make the group of people suddenly speak. After that, he took 1 step and ended here. As expected, relying on luck seems to go a long way. I also feel like my legs are unsteady. He immediately staggered and shook and said, I almost lost my balance. But look at his appearance. Extremely calm, without any danger. The captain was extremely surprised. The boot hasn't even touched the organ. On your side. At this time, continue to follow the system's instructions. 5 cells forward. I can see just a short distance ahead. A few steps. He immediately told himself that it was almost time. That the other members would all leave. From one surprise to another. Still looking intently in his direction, then spoke. He's really coming here. And the other captain's name. His face was also extremely gloomy and he said nothing. His every step moved slowly. Stepping over Magu's body lying on the floor. His face became even happier. When he encountered the other captain, At this time, the system also announced the arrival of, and saw him safely arriving in front of them. The crowd couldn't help but admire. Said he was not injured at all. Never touched any organs. Is this luck? This guy can't really rely on intuition. Sensing that the sire's organ was now looking straight towards Selit, smiled and said, "This is the result of my training. Me and Su Jiam are so pure. But this time, he still can't accept it. The truth is you can get through here very safely." Immediately brought his sword up to his neck. "I can only make noises." Because of that surprise. The captain's color. This doesn't ease the tension one bit. On the contrary, he looked in his direction with extreme disgust. It's impossible to intuit anything. This is just luck. It's as if luck will run out sooner or later. There seems to be some act of revenge here. He immediately said, "If so, then you lead the way." For many people, they were now standing inside a citadel. Everyone became quiet in the large space. And suddenly the system made an announcement. After the monster eats the mushroom, its physical strength will increase, reducing pain and fatigue. People will have a stomach ache after eating. At this moment he saw 2 mushrooms on the ground. Suddenly said, dropping the mushroom. He looked towards Wang Bai who was in his pocket. Then I thought if she was hungry yet. Or pick some for her to eat. And then immediately picked mushrooms from the ground. Very decisively. But when he brought the mushroom to his nose, smelled it for a while then said, "Oh, this mushroom smells really good. But unfortunately I am human. Inedible. A little licking should be okay, right?" Right now Selit is moving towards him. Then spoke suddenly in. What is he holding in his hand? Then he immediately turned back and said, "Mushroom." But before he could finish speaking, he grabbed it and gave it to me. He still didn't know the uses of this mushroom. I immediately put it in my mouth and spoke. "If you want to eat, I'll tell you." After conquering this underground citadel, then everything is here. They all belong to the Guild of Heroes. And my subjugation squad was just chewing a piece of mushroom in his mouth, looked in his direction and said, "You have no right to arbitrarily steal and get out. This is an order." Seeing his defiant appearance like that, this time he did not stop him anymore. Immediately said happily, "Yes, Captain. I will obey your orders." Standing at the top of the team. Absolutely do not stand behind him. He saw your positive attitude like that. Immediately spoke more softly. "You know that's good." Jenny saw Bella's extremely tired appearance. He quickly walked over, picked her up and said. Bella apologized to her. "I didn't know she was arranged into a group to be used as bait. You should tell me, I'm in trouble anyway. The captain can transfer her to another group. On this side there is also a person sitting below. Treat your leg. Right now." Bella's face became extremely uncomfortable. Said I took the initiative to join that group. After hearing that, he suddenly became surprised and said why. Even though she didn't say so. But his eyes were always fixed on Sire's. Standing on the other side. Take a deep breath. And he is still extremely serious. Pointed forward and said, "This door is the door to the boss. The next door with nothing is a dead end." For the blue-haired guy after his treatment. After examining the wound, he spoke. Her broken bones have healed. Right after that, she very politely replied thank you. And that Jenny's face was extremely gloomy. "Please call Miss Bella's name now." When she heard her name, she immediately answered. Him. It was like discovering something that interested her. Risking his own life. What a step into the team. Immediately said if she just wanted to protect that F-rank guy. But she and the reconnaissance team. It's like going to death. The reconnaissance group was nothing more than cannon fodder. The bait consists of the poorest heroes alive. It's just a waste of the Brave Warriors Guild's resources. Way for them to express their value. Can only be used as bait. Or move forward to block the attack. But at this moment he immediately looked in her direction. Said very urgently, "Don't say such stupid things anymore. For the next journey, please walk beside me. I'm a B-level leader. And I can protect you." No matter what he says. She also did not have the slightest nuance to agree. On this side, Sires is still talking to Selit. Behind the door no traps can pass. When he heard that, he pointed in that direction and said that. "Go open the door." Are you extremely surprised by his words? His expression right now seems like he's provoking. Accompanied by a few sarcastic words. What are you doing? You can't. So that team members have the ability to fight in the team. Don't be reckless, go and open the door. Immediately after receiving the order, he immediately moved forward, raised his hand and pushed hard on the door. At the same time as the captain, the other also quickly told everyone, the door is about to open. Everyone stay alert. He holds a sword in his hand. The nuances get so fucking stressful. Why do I feel a bit sick to my stomach? He opened the door. Inside now emits a stream of cold air to the outside. Everyone immediately shouted to the defense agency. But after the door was opened, right now there are no developments inside. Strangely, they still held their swords. Following the captain's orders, open the door and pay attention. Maybe something unexpected will happen. At this very moment, Sellet's face became extremely unsightly. Dangerous, the member's name is in the back right now. Seems to smell something. Strangely constantly smelling. What do you smell? Every step of Sires. Now move forward. Very slowly examined the situation for a while. And there was nothing dangerous inside. So he continued like that step by step. Calmly went inside. Sellet saw him like that. He said with a very serious face. Is there anything inside, Sires? Even though on the outside he tried to act like it was. No matter how calm you are, what's going on inside is. You have to use some damn force to clamp down. Why does my stomach hurt? And right at this important time. And the situation is right now. He finally suddenly remembered what happened earlier. Which he snatched from his hand. Then put it in your mouth. Devour immediately. Wait, could it be because of eating that mushroom? I'm dead and now I don't dare to exercise vigorously. Will be flushed out. Sires at this time. After a while of reconnaissance, the situation was finally more comfortable. Looked at the group of people and said, as I observed, then in this place, there is an agency. Right next to it. His steps became more and more rapid. Ran inside. He ran and looked towards their group of people. Then I told my brothers to quickly follow my footsteps. We'll run over there. But now, Sellet is facing an extremely difficult problem. Immediately pointed in his direction and shouted loudly. You can't run away slowly, this is an order. The members were also extremely panicked at this time. When I heard him say that, immediately run quickly after him and say, what's wrong? Is there anything behind? Probably not. So why should I run away? Right now? Seems to be in the other captain's stomach. Couldn't stand his expression anymore. It's becoming more and more unsightly. I couldn't bear it anymore. Suddenly at this moment, everyone immediately stopped their actions. He put his hand up to cover his nose and said no, there was toxic gas. I also smelled that there was indeed an organ. Run away from the hateful beasts. I know right behind the door. It can't be that safe. But suddenly someone spoke immediately. This smell is a bit familiar. Sellet's face became extremely embarrassed. Looked towards the group of members and shouted loudly. Don't talk too much and run quickly. Otherwise everyone will be poisoned. After a while of moving extremely fast, he finally stopped. Put your hands on a ledge next to the captain. After such a tiring period of running, immediately stopped and said Sires. He was extremely surprised when he called his name. Immediately responded. What's wrong, Captain? He gradually walked towards you. His face became angrier than he spoke. Do you know it by heart? That mushroom's nature shouldn't have caused it to intentionally run away. Seeing him so angry, he immediately said with an extremely scared expression. Captain, I don't know what's wrong with that mushroom. Seeing you look like that, it's like you don't know everything that's going on. He immediately became calmer. He grabbed his shirt tightly and said, nothing. Immediately after, a team member immediately brought a rock. Can be used as a chair. Then said Captain, you must be tired so you should sit down and rest. But right after that, he immediately expressed his anger. Raise your leg and kick hard towards the previous member. Sit down and fart everyone. Lifted my spirit to continue on my journey. The other member was hit by a kick. Immediately fell backwards. Ouch. But not for long. He picked up the sword again and blocked it at his neck. Then said angrily, you too. If you ran any longer, this man immediately cut you to death. Seeing his anger like that, he immediately became extremely frightened and said, yes, Captain. Then the space became quiet again. It was like no one had entered. The group of people moved very slowly. Behind sires, he said as he walked. Don't step on the bricks on the ground. At this time the group of people move. Then below there was an extremely large ferocious beast. Sleeping soundly. Right now. He immediately pointed forward and said to everyone. Going this way. At the top there is the shape of a large snake. While my tongue was wriggling and crawling, the system suddenly showed me not to touch. You looked into the space ahead, right? This must be the last organ. Sellet looked around. Then make a judgment in your heart. What about this place? The deeper you go inside, the less there are organs. Start an agency. He hasn't met any magical beast yet. He was thinking deeply at this moment. Look in his direction. Walking very calmly forward. Perhaps he himself had been here before? I'm thinking, what can this happen later? If not, go on the same team as me. It's estimated that even the demon beasts are somewhere at the door. You might as well eat him. Let alone going all the way here. For a while. Very tired. Finally reached the exit. At this moment, he immediately pointed forward and said, keep moving forward. I'll probably go to the boss's room and we'll see her appearance. Becoming more and more urgent. He picked up the sword again. Looked in his direction and thought. Go to boss's room. You are no longer worth anything. Whether it's your luck or whatever. You can only go this far. Right now at a corner. There is an extremely sharp cliff above the head. But no one knew about them. Right after that, the other captain became extremely sinister. Pick up your sword. Create an extremely strong force in preparation for an attack. He launched a grenade of immense power. Flew up over the overhang of the top of the cave. Sires wanted to destroy him. With every step, still extremely calm. Without even knowing myself. Preparing to fall into a dangerous state. And finally the noise was quite loud. Made him aware. I looked up and saw something falling. Then suddenly said oh. Sellet saw everything as if it could happen. According to his predetermined plan. Immediately laughed very sinisterly. The lowest level F-rank warrior. Being killed by the agency below the ground city is very reasonable. But right now. Suddenly there was a demonic beast from behind. Forward. Block and attack for you. He was extremely panicked and exclaimed, ha. At this moment there was an extremely strange appearance. Like a scorpion's tail. Rushed towards their group. Suddenly at this time, the captain became more and more surprised. When the thing he fears most has finally appeared, he immediately said, that monster's tail was extremely powerful. Immediately launched an attack, making it impossible for Sellet to avoid it. Immediately threw back and shouted loudly. Hitting people outside is also extremely scary at this time, said the captain. With the appearance of a demonic beast, has finally appeared clearly. Make them. Everyone fell into a state of silence. And at that moment he looked at the piles of rocks. Falling down more and said, is this place about to collapse? I'm buried inside. Large rocks blocked the outside. No one could see where he was. Sellet was extremely scared. Retreated to the corner of the wall and took a deep breath. Fortunately, I reacted quickly and used my sword to block it. Otherwise he would have died. He tried to move the pile of rocks. To be able to get out. But it was all in vain and he panicked. I'm in love and I'm locked up. Suddenly right now. There was a female sound. Why is there a person here? The image of a slow girl. Stepped out from the darkness. Causing him to suddenly turn his head and look back. Extremely surprised. Right after that, she finally stepped out into the light. So you can see clearly. Tone of contempt. When she saw a human. Is like. Sires said it was so nauseating that I could die. The monster appeared. Blocking the path of the group of warriors. The monster roared. Accompanied by the oppression of a scorpion. Sage's Class B+ Tiger Tank. Prepares for battle. The sword was too heavy to carry forward. Blockade its position. Don't let them go through DNY. Trying to command the people behind. The shields were stabbed straight into the ground to form one row of shield walls. Yes, a solid shield wall appears. Archers behind the archers shoot. Bow users obey DNY's orders. Creating a line of attacks from afar. Yellow arrows rushing forward. Arrows heading towards the monster. Hundreds of thousands of arrows crashing down. The monster continues to attack. DNY orders everyone behind. The monster roared, a sound that shook the whole ground. After those roars, it's a heavenly atmosphere, created by the monster, causing the yellow arrows to burn black. A strong wind rushed towards the soldiers. Use your shield to hold, based on your momentum to repel all the arrows. DNY had difficulty defending. The attack just now was ineffective against it. The monster is still standing. After the arrows of the warriors stood there blankly, doing nothing. Are you scared by the monster's aura? Of all, there was only one monster. There's nothing to be afraid of. Those growls are the sounds of demonic beasts. Suddenly a blue light appeared. Move forward. A claw of the beast appeared. The beast released a long claw. Walk to our main male sires. Its tail stars. The beast rushed forward with lightning speed. Appeared above the male lead's head. The beast took an attacking stance. Looking at its claws makes me crave crabs steamed in coconut water. The monster just hit the ground. Also creates a bright streak of light from above straight down. Almost took the male lead to see featherless chickens. Then, avoiding the attack just now, the male protagonist turned around. Gained momentum to stand firm in front of the beast. Taste my 190 power fist. Male protagonist throws his fist at the beast, causing a big hole in it, right in the middle of dividing the monster in half. Green slimy substances fell down, sipping an area. The beast's limbs were scattered in many places, many pieces of each part of the beast fell in different places around. In the recent battle, I unexpectedly smashed one of my scorpions with one punch. Where does the sound come from? Medicines can detoxify. Is on top of me in the boss room ahead. Do not consume physical strength. For some more meaningless fighting. Sires was breathing heavily after the battle with the beast. Anyway, I have a map, just run away and forgive you. But it's okay, I threw it away. Throw away things that have been touched by disgusting humans. This purple hair is the demon beast Seijei. Class A+. I originally intended to use it to twist your head. I have to let you go. She waved her fingers with a thin blue string. Swinging. Is this a female monster with my head? Not. You just need to use your hands gently to remove it. My head is down. Star. Huh. How long will it be before we touch something disgusting with our hands? Like you. After saying that, the female demon beast showed a bloodthirsty face. The hand used the blue ropes to control the beast to attack the group of people. Some humans are outside. I can handle them with just one hand. Only then did he look down at his body. Immediately discovered a small animal sleeping. Extremely docile. Immediately said yes. I'm a hero, protecting humanity is my responsibility. I will stay and fight even if I have to use all my physical strength. I will also stop you here. Sires spoke with determination to protect the remaining people. Loudly announced. Is the system activated? Seijei uses his 8-meter-long legs. Climbed high. And then grabbed the male lead's neck. Sires didn't understand what was going on. And was immediately hit by a force. Super Big pushed hard on the neck and threw it back. Sires groaned in pain. The female monster still used her legs to clamp down. Take the male lead to the ground. The system appears to have locked the kid. Don't know the amount of strength. The female demon beast looked down at the male protagonist. With contemptuous eyes. Stimulation value 16%. While the beast outside the DNY crowd. No one has been able to control it yet. Is making a mess of everything. Everyone is struggling to support. Everyone, look. The monster's head turned red. Our attack has not been effective yet. DNY pointed at the red head of the beast with joy. However, it's a bit early to be happy. She's too fast. You can come here. As for human strength, it doesn't look bad, but it's probably only up to here. Where the great man seems to hate humanity. Walked into his room, though said, but that Seijei's naughty leg still torments me. Sire's handsome face makes the male protagonist uncomfortable and painful. This monster is so strong. Absolutely don't let her go out. I will definitely stop you here. Sires gasped and her eyes widened, losing their irises. You vague. There you rotten guy. You Brad dared to do that to my leg. Mouth said that. But this sire's face is so red that it's so red. Keep your mouth shut. And quickly add 220. Out there, the beast is beating the DNY people, causing him to fly behind the girl screaming in pain. What a monster. Your face isn't pretty anymore, it's still watery. What can endure for so long without any movement inside? Bella was worried. Sires didn't trip over a rock and lose consciousness. Must quickly bring him out. Yeah, cover me. I'll take Sires out of the rubble. Wait a minute, don't come forward. Don't let the words go straight in. Bella's ears shot straight forward. Sires, come here, I'm sure nothing will happen. In front was a pile of big rocks blocking the entrance. The beast rushed right towards Bella, prepared to attack her. From above the beast, a streak of purple light appeared, moving straight towards Bella's butt. A streak of blue light rushed towards. That was DNY. Using his sword to block the beast's attack, helped Bella with a fatal blow. DNY's face turned red and he trembled as if he couldn't stand. Squeeze your butt muscles to block such a strong attack. No matter how good or bad the tiger of the beast is, he is still a brave man. Just an ice pack. I'm sure nothing will happen. There's a witch and a beast. People's faces are red and they're screaming. This rotten brat raised his paw. Then I saw all the water flowing. And quickly, 340 people finally escaped. The male lead struggled to stand up while holding his neck. How dare you dirty my feet, I will make you pay. Even though he said that, the look on his face still seemed to be very enjoyable. No weapons. Can't use the goddamn body slashing skill. Knowing this, I already had a weapon with me. And now I only have to use my fists. Sires jumped up towards the other Seijay and threw his fist straight at Seijay's face, easily dodging it. Then kicked the male lead straight in the face. With a strong kick, feet pounding, hit Sires' handsome face. His face is so soft, I love it. Just one kick, but our male lead flew straight. Hit the stone wall behind Jua. A scream of pain came from Sires. Oh my god, where is the handsome face of this male lead? I'm so excited that this violent demon girl is off the price list. Anti-agitation 54%. Hey, what are you thinking about? What's with this face? I have to kill this kid quickly. It would be bad to leave those humans outside. Enter this gentleman's room. Seijay uses blue threads, wraps itself around the scorpion's tail on the ground, and then pulls with such great force that it hurts, creating smoke and dust like falling bombs. The scorpion's tail is headed straight towards the male lead. Sires quickly dodged the pointed tail. Just enough agility to let me avoid this kind of attack from you. I concentrate my magic power in my hand. Main male hand, covered by a layer of blue aura, chopped down so hard that the tail suddenly broke in half. A foot wearing a black sock rushed forward as fast as lightning, right in front of the male lead. Seijay still uses the same old trick. Use your foot to clamp the male lead's neck and press him down again. His face was still red and shy. Seijay pressed the male lead so hard to the ground. The ground was filled with water, forming a hole. And we captured it again. This time I won't let you escape. I will strangle you with my feet. And taste the strength of my fist. Sires' hand is open. Move forward as fast as lightning. Seijay's thighs. And her face became redder than an eggplant and screamed happily. Defense plus 130. Left Seijay jumping up and holding his head. His legs suddenly rolled down. Who would have thought it would hurt when he stepped straight on the male lead's face? Made Sires scream in pain. Don't touch my leg with your disgusting hand. 2 segments of the scorpion monster's claws. Seijay threw these 2 claws forward. Like handcuffs. I used the male lead's 2 hands to hold the scorpion's tail that I just broke. Couldn't move. Her suppression is too strong. I can't control her. Sires tried to use his strength but still couldn't escape. I will crush your head right now. After speaking, he immediately raised his leg with a confident look on his face. Cannot be less than plus 50 stamina. Seijay still used force to kick the male lead's face. Feel plus 71. The magic power plus 93. Is really strange. Why did you step on his face? I feel so happy again. I don't know how to step on people. How will he feel? I can't talk to this capable female demon beast. Excitement value 66%. Humanity is only worthy of being trampled under our feet. His hand pulled out the sacred silver thread from his mouth, but also because of Seijei's courage. But the beast is fighting outside with the people. DNY also felt weak and happy. Why is that? The demon beast is starting to lose its footing. Come on everyone, we're about to win. What is it like with those huge legs hitting the viewer's eyes? Strength plus 240. This feels so good, I'm sure it's so sneaky, mom. Excitement value 89%. Bella was running to a place blocked by a rock when a tail appeared in front of her. Bella, be careful of the scorpion's tail. This girl must be very nearsighted, the tail is so big that I couldn't see it. How could it be that when I got close to it, I discovered? Bella jumped back, but by luck, she jumped right into the scorpion monster's ass. Bella DNY called out in panic. Celit frowned and made a sound of the rupture where Bella was smashed into a big hole due to strong pressure. Wait a minute there, don't you know where the male lead blushed? Didn't take Sire's words into his ears. Seijei still put strength into his legs. The people outside were still trying their best to fight the monster with the big and long tail of a scorpion that was rushing towards Celit while still bewildered. But Bella ran away immediately. This time it was me. The scorpion monster's tail had stabbed in, creating a crack, but luckily Celit hadn't been hit, otherwise she would have gone to the altar and eaten a bunch of bananas. At such a distance, the tail can still pierce the wall, so this monster's level has already surpassed the elite monster level. And inside, Seijei is infatuated with something so soft, so perverted. Too much. Excitement value 95%. The beast continued to attack Celit. Too bad I completely didn't pay attention to its direction. Sires turned around holding the sword tightly, gritted his teeth and grimaced looking at him. The monster. Its pincers are heading this way and can't stop it in time. Seijei is still the same face, screaming in joy. The monster affected by the controller is Seijei should also have convulsions and make sounds that are quite as capable as her and also leak green slimy liquid out. Celit used her sword to block the big sword of the beast. Suddenly realized something unusual and opened his eyes. He stopped and shouted at Celit, looking dumbfounded at the sight of this beast. Green drops of water falling down that were barely visible. Buffalo skin. Good opportunity. Celit slashes the scorpion beast's pincers aside. The sword slashes its body and slashes a series of beautiful sword strokes with a glowing blue effect clearly showing each sword stroke was slashed on this monster, causing the monster to fly back, creating a long line of dust as the monster was slashed and attacked very well. Captain Celit is really strong. Attack and fly away our demonic beast. Captain, Ama. A crowd of people behind cheer Celit to the sky. Boon naughty naughty. Aw, now you're so brave, I don't know what to say. Please accept one from me. Prostrate first. My god. This Seijei is so capable. Excitement value 98%. UWAWAAA demon got injured after being hit once, but unfortunately it's just the driver of this demonic beast who is so courageous. This is the situation that should have come to this. This is Captain Celit's strength. As long as there are captains here, no matter how many demonic beasts we have, we don't need to be afraid. This demonic beast doesn't seem to be very strong, we can easily attack it. It's easy to win and then it's time to save. When you're so happy you blurt out these words that are forbidden to children and your foot steps on something on the male lead's body. He really lost to this Seijei sister. That's a monster. The animal is happily rolling around, leaking a whole bowl of green water, and it still hasn't finished yet. Go away so I can deal with it, so you can see the strength of a level a captain. Oh my god, I can't save Celit. What's wrong with me? Why do I do that with a human body? Slowly my legs are lifted off the male body. I have to calm down. Her body is too flexible, especially if those legs waste any more energy, the body won't be able to support them. I won't give in. This time, those legs are approaching the male lead's net. That 8-meter-long leg already entered the male lead's throat. Hey, he's dirty, he's so dirty. His feet have gone to so many places that he can't even wear a pair of shoes, and now he's going to put them in someone's throat. I don't want to hear those disgusting sounds from that eager guy. What's wrong with saying you don't want to hear it but refusing to take your foot out of that person's mouth? Life force +1. 632 power of concentration +2. 051 patience +2. 167. What's with the male lead's eyes brighter than car headlights? The hateful one is here again. Your hand. The scorpion quickly went to Celit. and then went to Seijei's cheek and saw that the face of the female demon beast was so courageous. I don't know. AACH with one hand blocking Seijei's sword, but my face, this monster is too happy to betray its owner. The divine healer slashes his sword and swings it, causing the monster to be thrown back to appear. The monster's captain's trick skill fell down, creating a cloud of dust under his feet. The captain was too strong and beat the demonic beast to the point where it was no longer conscious and screamed wildly. Then the captain attacked the demonic beast with one last final blow. Seijei's naked leg also lifted from the male lead's mouth, covered in saliva. For you guys to beat the demon beast in front of me to the point that it didn't take a single move because the captain was too strong. Defense +3. 304 agility +4. 310 perception 3. 205. The sword that was thrown next to me was really too strong, and Celit felt complacent in his heart too. These sounds are so magical and so sure. Seijei, why is it so noisy outside? Who is this sound? Nap ga sir. Seijei is sweating profusely. Immediately jumped up from the male lead. Backed away 10 meters away. The male lead's restrained hands were also free. I forgot about the boss's orders for a while. I have to quickly kill these humans to atone for my sins. This demonic beast is really interesting. Attack power +1. 000. Still wants to continue fighting. This is the main character's halo. Oh, so cool. That's not right, he just made me feel like this isn't this kind of thing. He's similar to a master who puts pressure on others to the point of being scary. I have to fight him like this. Why is Sires so tall and big? A mountain, and this is just Seijei's pressure and rich imagination. Jump and jump. The male lead is bewildered and doesn't understand what's going on. Why did Seijei run away from him and she ran away? I can't stop chasing. My goal is the blood of the demon god in the boss room. I don't need to waste my energy on these things, it's already wasted too much. Invincible captain. The captain is too strong, then there's the captain here. We have an underground citadel that we can't grasp anymore, let alone the group of people. Bella is still running to the pile of rocks in front of her. And kicked the rock, blocking her way with one foot. Bella Sires, are you okay? Are you injured? Bella is worried about the male lead like a mother. I'm okay. I'm all right. There's nothing wrong with my body. Are you injured? Bella lifted it up to check everything. Let someone from the treatment team see if Bella, I'm really okay. If you feel uncomfortable, then you have to tell me. Oh, I know from afar there's a trembling hand clutching my skin. What is this unrequited love? Everyone listen, stand behind me. I'll show you what my true strength is. I'll kill the boss, the sky will explode, then run away. The mighty captain will cheer for you to come in, and then everyone will die. The danger in this underground citadel is definitely not sea level. I'm afraid that even D-level people will still be reluctant. This time, I can get the D-level underground citadel skills and get the C-level bonus and still be able to keep the when you return to the guild. If you return to the guild and tell this story, you can definitely get promoted and make a lot of money. Lord Nap-Ga, there is a very strong human outside. I don't know what method he used. His strength is very weak, but in an instant his combat power has skyrocketed to an unimaginable level. Please be more careful than a guy with horns who is standing and dancing about something on a very awkward platform. Seijei, the female demon beast, raised her head. What are my orders? Watch the door and don't let any creatures enter your room. So why are you here to pick on me, sir? A yellow light passed through Seijei's body, cutting off her unfinished words. There was a huge explosion behind Seijei, which was also the moment Seijei fell. I don't want to hear you explain. Boss, underground city Nap-Ga. Seijei just fell to the ground. Only a single move was able to defeat a plus-class monster like her. Nap-Ga lifted his hand and swung Seijei to the side to close the corpses of the monsters. I still don't want to die here. Seijei is barely breathing. I've been practicing for so long and a pot of green water is boiling, gurgling. I recommend not eating rice when you see a pot of water. This uses thousands of humans and magical beasts as ingredients. The demon god's blood is finally about to be completed, and it turns out the blood looks like the slimy stuff of a scorpion monster. With a bang, the door was shattered. Someone's legs walked into Nap-Ga's room. Nap-Ga turned around and asked who was so brave that he dared to come to my room. is a brave man who can make you feel terror when entering your room. After using the demon god's blood, it will remove the toxins in your body. He is the strong human being. In Sage's words, is that the thing that can detoxify the poison in your body? Everyone listen, no one is allowed to act without my orders. I want to kill the big boss of this sea-level city, Captain Sellet. Kill him, let the monsters know how powerful he is. The person who beat the controlled monster hasn't finished yet but wants to kill the boss. He really lost. Sires said with surprised eyes that what was on the stage was the blood of a demon god. The blood of a demon god was placed on Jedan, surrounded by the careful magic circle as pink. Right now Sellet hastily rushed up, firmly holding the sword in his hand to live and die with Nap-Ga in the cheers of everyone rushing up to the captain to handle it. He is jumping up with a face full of determination. Nap-Ga just gently raised her hand with sharp nails. Sellet slammed the sword in her hand straight into Nap-Ga's head, her face triumphantly saying her feelings. Fear away. Nap-Ga wordlessly applied the internal force on her index finger, which at this moment emitted a dazzling yellow light. The next second Sellet could not keep the smile on her lips and quickly felt scared when he felt the terrible power that Nap-Ga created. The sword he intended to use to finish Nap-Ga flew away with him. Everyone who saw this were extremely worried and called out, "Captain!" And Sellet were soon pushed into the wall by Nap-Ga's power, causing pain. And his teammates couldn't help but worry and ask if the captain was okay. Nap-Ga has now retracted his finger filled with magic power and returned to his mouth, mocking the powerful humanity. Is that all? Satriya is truly a waste. Sellet still hasn't recovered after one of Nap-Ga's moves. Still quite scared, he thought to himself that this attack power was not that great, but with just one blow, it destroyed his A-level armor. Luckily, he had the soft body of his brother's S-level dragonscale armor, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to save his life. His teammates at this time all ran up to Sellet. One person helped him stand up, one person asked Captain Sellet how he was, then another person also added that his armored captain had fainted. Sellet, after standing up, he frowned slightly, secretly asking questions in his heart about what this underground city was all about. Is there such a big difference in strength between the magical beasts? Looking at Nap-Ga that had just attacked him, he secretly plotted a frontal duel. If it doesn't work, you should still use other team members to consume the demon beast's stamina first. Wait until its stamina is exhausted and then attack again. Your chances of winning will be a bit bigger. Think of doing. Sellet raised his sword towards the sky and ordered everyone to listen to my orders. Everyone volunteered, everyone used all their talents and bravery. DNY heard the order and quickly gave the opinion of Captain Sellet not to form a team. The formation where everyone rushes forward will likely cause a lot of unnecessary casualties. We should still use the formation as a shield in front. Sellet did not agree with this suggestion and angrily shouted at him, doubting my judgment or wanting to disobey my orders. Seeing the captain extremely angry made DNY feel scared and replied, "Captain, I don't have one." Sellet immediately heard DNY answer like that, pointing at you and saying more, "Then don't say too much, I'm the captain, I tell you to do whatever you have to do." DNY now lowered his head and didn't say anything else while Sellet immediately turned around to reassure everyone. "Everyone take up your weapons, don't be afraid, I'm everyone's solid shield." After Sellet's words, everyone rushed forward determined to kill this demonic beast. Nap-Ga was very calm at this time. With 4 hands out in 4 directions, your mouth still speaks disparaging words about a bunch of stinking ants who don't know how to measure themselves. Your flesh and blood, not even the qualifications to become Jedan's firewood. While the crowd is rushing, when I woke up, Nap-Ga was surrounding himself with a light and kept saying, "I want to let you know that there is such a gap between humans and monsters that it makes people despair." As soon as Nap-Ga finished speaking, he immediately launched himself. Created something that brought yellow light over a large area and brought with it a heat that made everyone suffer this wrath. Sires was now like a savior helping 2 people escape this sea of fire. And some others seemed to have melted so much. Even though Nap-Ga had retracted his hand, the power was still there, the heat and light had not subsided. Sellet was lucky to be able to escape. Died. Seeing that the sword in his hand had melted into drops, he was extremely scared. Nap-Ga now flew up and his feet no longer touched the ground. She asked in front of Selit, not saying she wanted. Can you feel the fear? Right at this moment, Sires understands that Nap Ga is not his opponent and how scary it is. Looking at Nap Ga in front of him, in his mind, he thinks he can't win, can't escape. Run quickly. DNY now escaped death but accidentally saw his teammate's arm was already burned black, making him very heartbroken. And Selit still thought it was the same as before, causing him to quickly turn away. The head ran away. His mouth was still ordering to retreat. Those who were still alive obeyed my command. Everyone retreated. At this point DNY couldn't take it anymore. He was so angry that he cried and scolded this stupid, arrogant guy. Right away, Selit was running away and there was a hand holding him back. That man was Sires. He looked at Selit and said the captain. Selit just now was himself saying he was everyone's solid shield. The fight between him and the boss, it's not over yet. I can't go now. Selit struggled to get away from the hand that was holding her and angrily said, I'm the captain. Whatever I say you do. If you want to stay and die then that's fine. Don't drag me along. Nap Ga then raised his finger at Selit and said he broke the door and rushed into my room. You guys still want to run away? Seeing boss near him, Selit was very scared and shouted loudly. Behind the idiot, look behind him. The boss is about to use the light move just now. But he absolutely can't escape, and in his heart, he also feels wondering if he can't step away. Why is this guy's strength so great? Saw Napga's finger starting to perform the move. Selit immediately struggled and said that boss was aiming for this side and quickly let go. Seeing that Sires was still refusing to compromise with her, Selit was very angry and clenched her fists. The hand that was about to punch Sires shouted loudly, telling you to let go. The idiot in his head thought that if I didn't fight boss, I wouldn't be able to fight an F-class trash like you. It was like Sires's fist had barely reached Sires's body before he blocked it. His face showed no emotion or words, so he broke Selit's hand. He immediately screamed miserably. Sires pulled him. I went up and said, Selish, as the captain, I had to keep my word. Right when Nap Ga launched the light move like before, Sires was able to push Selish that way, and he added that he wanted to become my solid shield. Used his body to block the boss's attack to cover his teammates' retreat. Selit was extremely scared, her face drained of blood, trembling as she faced the light with heat like a face of the boss. All the remaining survivors fled in disarray. Selit, after suffering another attack from the boss, immediately lost his eyes, his face turned pale in fear, blood from his nose and mouth spewed out from his teeth. The missing armor on his body was no longer healthy. As expected, he fell down again. Selit even bumped into his teammates, making him scream in fear. Sires now had a medicinal look in his eyes. The fire was full of momentum. The person wearing the armor and holding the half-broken sword was in a ready position. You said next, it's me. Bella said I wanted to stay. DNY, standing nearby, also said I also wanted to stay. Deputy Demon Beast. Bella looked at DNY with a slightly sad look and said, DNY, you really don't need to do that. I'll stay because of Sires. DNY immediately replied, I know. DNY's face was full of determination. Add that I'm a B-level hero who came to destroy the demonic beasts. I absolutely won't run away. I don't want to listen to that idiot's orders again. After one move, Selit ascended to heaven. Nap Ga said he saw his strength. I'm already strong, but I still don't run away. Are you looking down on me? As soon as he finished speaking, Sires rushed forward and directly used his powder body to strike at Napga's arm that was casting the attack. The sword was just brought to his arm. Nap Ga immediately retreated like a reflex. Everything happened so fast that Nap Ga also felt the speed was fast. As soon as he set foot on Sires, he quickly ran towards Jedin, mouthing the magic blood, my antidote. I came here and saw Sires no longer attacking me but running towards Jedin, making Nap Ga question why he ran towards Jedin. Perhaps this guy's goal was not to kill me but the blood of the demon god. Sires tried to run as fast as possible back to Jedin, mouthing words of encouragement to himself and he would succeed. While Nap Ga was extremely angry looking at Sires and scolding dirty humans not to come close. My Jedin, Bella rushed up to attack her. DNY sensed its vulnerability, his eyes and glowing sword, his face determined to take advantage of this good opportunity. But Nap-ga was too strong. As soon as the sword came close, it was blocked. Nap-ga used both hands to hold the sword and one hand towards Sayers. She used a light move while saying that this guy's speed is really very fast, like the disgusting snakes. Saw that Sayers was about to be in danger. Bella immediately told you not to attack Sayers, and then used all her strength to push her away. But this had the effect of killing her. Nap-ga was no longer standing, but his finger released a beam of light carrying heat. It was lucky because just a little more and he would have hit Sayers. Regardless of the big incident happening very close to him, Sayers tried to jump up and reach the destination he set. Looking at the demon blood appearing before his eyes, he told himself that the antidote is coming, I'm coming. But things are not simple. Jeden is surrounded by carefully guarded troops emitting pink light. Sayers stops and admires the magic circle, reaching out his hand to slowly touch it. Just touched a loud explosion that blew Sayers away. Nap-ga then spoke up and said that it was a magic circle drawn by me. As long as I was alive, no creature could go in. Sayers tried to stand up after the magic circle's flying blow, saying that demon blood was impossible. While breathing heavily, he said that he needed to defeat the boss in a small cave right near the place. Sayers was standing and a foot appeared. This person also made Sayers pay attention to him and turned back to look at the cave, saying there was something inside. At this moment Nap-ga immediately waved his hand making DNY and Bella jumped out at the same time. She said to get lost. The two guys didn't know how to control themselves. A flick of the hand could have caused the two of them to fall very painfully. Sayers was now looking at the person in his cave. She was extremely surprised that the female demon beast that had just escaped had turned into this. Seijay was now trembling with pleading eyes as she looked at Sayers and said, "Please don't make a sound, don't let her. Now my lord knows I'm here." Nap-ga angrily stamped his feet on the ground and said, "My sacrifice needs to be done while calmly killing a few of you bugs and then visiting your city to eliminate the fire." My anger. Sayers now sensed that the situation outside was not good, so he turned his head and silently guessed that Bella was in danger. Searched for something in his pocket and then Sayers gently placed it in front of the guilty witch. Karma said that Bella's precepts could increase her physical strength. Then he quickly ran out to save people and said loudly, "Bella, I'm coming." Seijay slowly walked out and took the lamb mop precepts that Sayers left behind. As soon as she took a bite, her tears continued to flow. The system sent a notification that the female demon Satya had developed feelings for the player who had met the conditions for unlocking the weapon. When Sayers was rushing forward, there were many cards preventing him from running further. The system gave a notification detailing the rules for choosing weapons. At this time DNY ran in front of Bella. "Tell Bella I will stop it. Run quickly." Bella behind hesitated and said, "My leg is cracked again." DNY, "Please run away." And Sayers was extremely angry at this inconvenience and immediately said to ignore it. "Now I want to go save people, but I don't have time to listen to the introduction system." The system continues to talk and has jumped to the detailed introduction of the rules. The player should draw a card. Hearing that, Sayers quickly took one card so he could quickly go save the other two people. His eyes became surprised. It turned out because in his hand a new sword appeared in his hand with a yellow color around it emitting red light like pine. The system reported that this is the weapon that protects the divine sword. Sayers quickly rushed forward, his eyes burning with fire and his mouth saying, "Try my new weapon and see the sword." But the most unexpected thing was Nap-ga was able to touch the sword again with his bare hands. Put the sword down and she said she was tricked. Those two guys were just bait. "My target is the guy with speed like a cockroach, that's where." Look entered Sayers in front of Nap-ga and continued, "At such a close distance so I can see how you hide." Sayers once again raised his sword and said words filled with hatred, "Don't underestimate me, I never said I wanted to hide." The sword was raised and made a mark on Napga's hand, but looking back it looked like there had never been any wound. She immediately said that if you used all your strength, you would only tear me, not even bleeding yet. Is the difference between humans and monsters. As soon as she finished speaking, the shirt she was wearing was torn to shreds, leaving only her skirt, causing her to suddenly cover her chest with her hands. Her cheeks were already red. Pink because she was afraid. Nap-ga shouted loudly, "Why are all my clothes gone? The other two witnesses gasped in surprise. DNY even shouted loudly. Sayers hit boss and lost all his clothes. Sayers's cheeks were also red, his nose was red. Nosebleed exclaims that this demonic beast is really strong. System explanation. The violent divine sword slashes the enemy. The enemy's clothes will be torn off. While the enemy is naked, the holy sword attack skill will be activated. Nap Ga is now using all his hands to grab his naked body, angrily scolding the low-class guy who uses low-class moves. The old lady wants to kill you. Sayers ignores her without a piece of clothing and is trying to use his hands to shield and hold his skirt. He continued to attack. Even though he attacked very quickly, Nap Ga was still able to dodge. His eyes were like a burning fire, secretly thinking of a plan. The plan in mind just now was that when she hit her hand, her top exploded, meaning that one more hit on her legs could destroy her skirt. After removing her mask, you can directly activate the attack skill to deal with her. Thinking about this, he smiled, so I just need to get close to boss. And continuously activate the skill. The ability to instantly slash your body will definitely not miss, you can definitely hit it once. As if reading your thoughts, the system tells you that your current magic power value is only enough to launch 6 more telekinetic slashes. This skill has a cooldown time of 10 seconds and targets a completely new target. Sayers can directly activate the skill once he hears the system say it, but Sayers is stunned and then criticizes the skill as rubbish. Immediately asked if you want to remove this skill or not, why not give it up? He immediately replied no. Then Sayers said if that's the case I'll try to use it temporarily. He used body powder to aim Napga's dress stuck to Napga's body. As soon as his sword came, she dodged it once again, making him extremely angry, but he only threw it away in his hateful heart but couldn't hit him. Saw Sayers 5 times 7 times wanted to aim at her feet and couldn't help but wonder why this guy kept trying to attack my feet when my shirt was already ruined. Was he planning to destroy my skirt? Sayers continued to give himself another chance to attack her feet. Nap Ga now shouted loudly, "You scoundrel." Then when Sayers approached to attack, she kicked her in the face. The kick was so strong that he was thrown out immediately. Luckily there was a goat sword on the road that kept him from flying too far. The kick made Sayers cry out in pain. His nose bone was almost broken then. Suddenly looked at his hand and added, but compared to the toxicity that's causing the body to dissolve, it's nothing. Said that Sayers immediately ignored the pain and rushed forward like a horse. The ferocious tiger in his head kept counting down from 5. And Nap Ga was now extremely calm, raising his finger to prepare to cast the same light move. Sayers was not afraid at all. Could perfectly dodge. This made Nap Ga suddenly say that he was able to dodge my attack. After Sayers counted down the cooldown time to end, he launched a flash attack to the opponent's leg. He spoke at such a close distance so I could see how you were doing. He had put all his effort into cutting her, his eyes had turned red ever since. Looking at the tip of the sword, blue drops slowly remained. Flowing down, he thought to himself, this feels like I cut them, and then looked up to see Sayers' face becoming confused. It turned out he didn't cut them at all because she had already flown up at that moment. She said, did you say you wanted to run away, you rotten boy? Nap Ga controlled his 2 fingers and started to light up, then said if it weren't for my fear of being naked and not being able to make too big of a move, just by your speed you would have been caught long ago. Let's attack the citadel. After she finished speaking, she immediately threw a move at Sayers's place, but luckily he had quick reflexes so he was still able to dodge. Without stopping, she continued to attack until as long as Sayers hits, it's over. The system keeps announcing that the skill is on cooldown and can't be activated, making Sayers angry and wondering why 10 seconds is taking so long. He can't wait for the skill to cool down, so he thought the other option could only be a frontal attack. Then he picked up his sword and immediately slashed Napga's attack, causing it to disappear and create a huge wind that blew the hair of the 2 people watching. Seeing Sayers have such great skills made DNY extremely shocked, filled with endless confusion, not expecting Sayers to be able to defeat boss's attack head-on. Why could it be obvious before going out to fight? Checked out that his overall strategy was only F rank, but in a fight like this, even if he was at B rank, he wouldn't dare participate in it. Sires secretly exclaimed that the properties of this sword were amazing. To defeat the attack of Nap Ga made him very confidently laugh out loud and said that now I can defeat and avoid her attacks, and her attacks are ineffective against me. Nap Ga also has to admit that what you're saying is right. It's very difficult to kill you. Holding out her hand, she said sinisterly, but I can easily kill that injured girl over there. She said, then she moved her hand preparing to strike towards where Bella was sitting. As fast as lightning, Sires used lightning to cut off the light that Nap Ga had just created to protect Bella. Heard her speak slowly, then Sires immediately ran back to Bella and called out Bella. Nap Ga couldn't miss the opportunity for her vulnerable opponent to put her magic finger on her. She silently mocked the stupid person who always wanted to be a hero to save the beauty. That's why he was stabbed by the magical beasts behind. As soon as she finished using the move, she said that she had been tricked again. She knew she was being tricked but couldn't run in time anymore. Sires had no choice but to block out the target, hold the sword, and use the move to turn her body and turn it around. Circle to counter this sneak attack. One swing of the sword was able to break the armor of the two people behind, leaving them stunned. Sires promptly blocked Napga's attack on him, turned it to another direction. She saw her plan fail and was so angry that he stopped it. At this time Nap Ga returned to Jeden, which was constantly emitting a light blue light. She immediately panicked and said no. She was only worried about fighting and forgot to add more firewood to maintain the warmth of the demon god's blood. If she couldn't maintain the warmth of Jeden, all my previous efforts would have been wasted. Still have to wait 100 years. Bella suddenly breathed heavily, her cheeks turned red, her voice was weak. Why do I feel so strange? My body is so hot. The system displays a vibrant value message again 91%. Bella reached out her hands to hold Sires's bewildered face, not understanding what was going on. She suddenly brought her face closer to Sires, making DNY see his surprised face and look for it. Bella showed no signs of stopping and began to open her mouth and stick out her tongue, perhaps intending to kiss Sires. In Sires's mind, he recalled the time when Bella was 8 years old, her ugly face was gaunt and snot was drinking. His pale lips said, "What are you looking at? Have you never seen a beautiful girl before? Why do you keep staring at me? Do you want to kiss me?" Sires immediately escaped from Bella's arms and retreated far away, shouting loudly, "I don't want DNY." Although he was scared, he still ran back to ask Bella what she was going to do. Bella suddenly blankly asked thousands of questions in her mind. Just now I actively wanted to kiss Sires. Why couldn't my body control myself and move and stretch out my tongue? I didn't expect that in this place. I was still in a fighting state. Bella, after realizing her actions, the action I just did, I quickly grabbed my face with both hands, which was already red and redder, feeling very embarrassed. Dermi worriedly asked Bella. Her face was so red and she was sweating. Had she been poisoned? Did she just go crazy? Why can't your body control you? Don't wait for Bella to answer. Derni said to herself that it must be so. Otherwise, why would she do that? While they were still shocked by her actions, Bella, Nap Ga on one side is raising her hands and saying that once the demon blood cools down, it takes 100 years to boil it again. I don't want to wait that long. In front of her, there are many ghosts with scary faces slowly escaping. With just one finger pointing down, the ghosts have returned and the pot of demon blood is boiling and her mouth is still saying this time for sure. Burn the demon god's blood dry. Sires heard her say that with a look on her face that she didn't want to say no. Did she want to burn the demon god's blood dry? He just stood there thinking that he had to quickly stop her in order to speed up. Boss's speed is very fast. I'm not sure I can hit him, so I can only lift the flaming sword, and with his determination he chooses to increase his strength so that Boss can't avoid the slash. Instantly activated the sword god's attack skill and dealt with her. While Sires had already made a plan to deal with it, Nap Ga still didn't know anything and focused on the demon's blood and said to forget it all. This bunch of firewood in the pot must be enough to make Jeden's heat reach its highest level, right? Sires suddenly turned around and grabbed Bella's hand, making her ignore him. He said, "Now I know how to defeat Boss, but I need she cooperated with me." Then Sires seriously said that all she needs is me and her to kiss on the lips. As soon as he finished speaking, Bella's body stiffened, Her face turned red and her eyes opened wide. Sires continued by saying that, I can increase my power to defeat Boss DNY. I felt angry and blushed. How could this guy use such a brave face to say such despicable words? I could see the shyness. Bella Sires' shyness continued to beg. I know this is very difficult for her, but please, the system announced a vibrant value of 93%. Got out of Bella's body and angrily scolded her, it sounded like you were harassing Bella. At this point, you're still thinking about that. Why are you such a pervert? DNY turned his head to look at Bella and advised not to believe it. His words were contrary to DNY's wishes. Bella said, Sires, I believe what he said. And I have to say that DNY was so shocked right now that he couldn't help but be shocked. Bella put her hand on Sires' shoulder. It's really awkward for me to talk about this, but don't misunderstand me. I want to defeat monsters, so I agreed. Actually, I don't want to do this with you. Sires' face is resigned to being caressed. Bella's face said okay. Remembering the past, the face that day was also about to kiss you said I told you we are playing pretend family, I'm your father playing the role of mom, kiss you all except responsible for him, and then puckered her lips to place it on his lips. Saying which one should I kiss, my beloved wife? I will take responsibility or make it very difficult for Sires in reality to kiss Bella to defeat the boss. His eyes opened wide and he shouted loudly, I'm not playing. DNY next to him also shouted equally loudly, Bella, don't do this in front of me. The DNY notification system was attacked. If that day Sires roughly pushing Bella's face, saying he didn't want to, now he would do the same. When Bella was pushed down, she was extremely confused, wondering why Sires pushed her away, and Sires breathed a dangerous sigh of relief. I almost got. Suddenly the system announced good news, class +1, all stats increased by 5,000 points. Sires, at this moment I was confused inside, it increased by 5,000 points thanks to DNY. Why is that so good? No need to touch Bella. No need to remember that scary memory. Sires quickly stood up, picked up the sword and said to Bella, if you find it difficult to move, then there's no need anymore. I'm going to deal with the boss now. Bella looked a little regretful and said, wait, what if you can't fight back now? Caressing her body, she asked Sires, do you really not need my help? Price notification system fluctuation value 99%. Sires looked indifferent and turned around to answer without. Watching Sires leave, she asked herself, Sires, why aren't you interested in me? DNY now clenched his fist and mustered up the courage to say to Bella that Sires is stronger than me. I don't blame her for liking him, but I still want to ask one thing. Bella looked up and gently said, do you want to ask about that? As I charged into Sires, I thought I had to hit both the head and the legs at the same time to be able to activate the attack skill. I almost slashed the boss's leg now that my attribute stats have increased by 5,000 points. I just need to find a chance to use lightning to behead me. I can definitely do it. Right now Nap Ga is standing next to the pot of demon blood saying if it's not good yet, why is there still a little bit left? If she doesn't quickly replenish the heat will drop very quickly. Thinking for a moment, she decided to use the other 3 humans to supplement this temperature. Then she immediately flew up in front of him. Sires said to feel proud. And then Nap Ga opened her arms, no longer hiding her appearance like before. She said that as dirty humans, you can become my sacrificial firewood and ashes. This is a high reward. The best thing I have for you is. The next second Nap Ga used all her power to deal with the 3 humans. Sires looked up with eyes waiting until she used up all her power. The force created a great power. He immediately used his sword to block it, but the unexpected thing was that his magic power was consumed very quickly. The system continuously notified about this consumption even though the attack had been eliminated. This time, but his magic power was consumed too much, with only 11 remaining. The system had to inform him that his magic power was too low and he couldn't activate any skills. The system just finished announcing. Sires clearly looked disappointed and said no. Nap Ga came again and said your magic power was exhausted, right? The battle is over. Sires had no more hope at this point and finished speaking. Suddenly Bella's hand appeared and gently turned her head. He said Sires clearly needed my help. Curtly Bella immediately hugged him tightly in her arms. DNY saw the goddess hugging someone else in front of her as if she was struck by lightning. It was so painful. My heart is officially broken from here. Bella's eyes are dreamy, holding Sires in her heart, secretly wanting to confess that I told you a long time ago that I have had someone in my heart since I was little and have never changed. At this time, the system announces that the level +5 has a power that is rising until the system announces that all stats add up to 27,500, then this power really explodes on a large scale. Even the boss of the underground city of Nap-Ga had to exclaim that it couldn't be possible. He should have had no chance to turn the situation around now. Where did humanity get such terrible power? Sires took a right-hand stance holding the divine sword. The sword around his body emitted a bright orange aura. Nap-Ga looked at Sires, slowly clicking his tongue. No matter how much your power increases, you are still only human. Compared to us monsters, you are nothing. Sires immediately rushed towards Nap-Ga at extremely fast speed. Nap-Ga had not yet seen Sires, so he continued to say that no matter how much he attacked, we could avoid it. But while Nap-Ga was still speaking, Sires took a direct hit from above to Nap-Ga. After being cut by Sires, the crown on Nap-Ga's head was broken and the piece of cloth on his body was also torn. Then Sires appeared. Behind Nap-Ga finished the skill of teleportation and beheading. Nap-Ga's face was revealed with a slash on his face. Nap-Ga got up and touched his face and shouted, "My face." Sires landed on the system board. His system popped up with a message informing him that the magic sword had released the skill. The sword dropped down. His face now looked extremely cold and serious. The aura around him radiated extremely strongly like a fire. The little divine sword in his hand turned from red to a brilliant yellow. Nap-Ga shouted loudly, looking extremely crazy. He shouted, "You bastard who dares to ruin my face is unforgivable." Nap-Ga opened his mouth and gathered. The force created an extremely large magical ball. Nap-Ga's eyes became red like the blood she thought pouring in all her power. Sires raised her sword. And Nap-Ga shot the ball. "Pray for magic to shout loudly and kill you all." Sires stands from afar, swings his sword and slashes the ground towards Nap-Ga. The attack from the divine sword flies straight towards Nap-Ga. The attack from the sword cut through Nap-Ga's magic ball, causing the magic ball to be destroyed. But Sires' attack still did not stop, flying straight into Nap-Ga's body. On both sides of Sires' slash path, the magic ball was destroyed and swept across. The soil and rocks on both sides of the slash line were shattered. Bella and DNY, standing far away, couldn't help but be thrown up. Smoke and dust rose and there were lightsabers stuck on the ground. After the dust cleared, Sires looked at Nap-Ga lying on the ground, surrounded by disappearing lightsabers. Sires said, "I won." Sires' system board announced that the holy sword had fallen on a 20-second cooldown. Then Sires turned around and left, leaving Nap-Ga collapsed on the ground. Sires ran closer to Jedin. He stood in front of the barrier. Sires looked confused, wondering what was going on. Why was the magic circle still there? Nap-Ga looked towards Sires and said while standing up with his hands, "Do you think you have defeated me? I absolutely will not allow dirty humans to touch the pure blood of demons." Sires turned his back and seriously looked at Nap-Ga's board. His system announced that the sword dropped on cooldown 9s. He said he would deal with you in 9 seconds. Suddenly DNY's voice rang out. Bella Sires heard it and immediately turned around. In the distance DNY was reaching out with shaking arms. He shook his head towards Bella Sires, looked at Bella lying on the ground. His system board displayed the message that her vitality was too low and was about to die. And on Nap-Ga's side, she got up and shouted loudly, "I'm still alive, I won't let you do this. Let's see if the winner is a human or a monster." Sires' face looked extremely serious, wondering. Nap-Ga had now stood up. And Sires quickly rushed to Bella's position and wrapped his arms around her waist. Then Sires used his sword hand to grab DNY's collar. Then he ran away towards the door. And Nap-Ga, this guy fell to the ground. Nap-Ga thought to himself, but then he left. Surely humanity is very stupid. While Sires ran and ordered the system to open the map to find the nearest way to the exit. Sires ran and said, "Now I have to quickly run to the association's hospital," when suddenly a purple monster with many legs like a spider appears in front of me. The monster immediately rushes out to block Cyrus's face like ha 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 ha. Cyrus glared at the spider monster. Bella was currently being hugged by Cyrus. She opened her eyes and looked very weak. Bella remembered when she was young and wanted to kiss Cyrus, but he refused. At that time, her face fell down. The other child pointed and she laughed loudly and said, ha ha ha, you're so ugly, you're being rejected. Who would want to kiss you if you're so ugly, ha 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 ha, even dreaming about playing family with someone else is so disgusting. There was a kid jumping up and down, hitting his chest and saying, you're the one who's going to act like a chimpanzee. Cyrus frowned and looked at that guy. He just bowed his head in silence. Another kid with short brown hair was holding a hand. The basketball ran to Cyrus's hand and said, don't go near him or else you will get sick from him and will be as ugly as him. Stop playing basketball with me. Cyrus raised his hand and slapped that boy's face. Back to the present, Cyrus has just swung his sword and slashed the green blood spider monster, shooting it everywhere. Cyrus activated the skill of instant body slashing and rushed forward, slashing the spider monster's body. Back to the past when Cyrus slapped the kid in the face who asked me to play basketball. The kid cried and whined, ha ha, he hit me, ha ha ha. Then Cyrus bent down and smiled and said to Bella, our game isn't over yet. Bella looked up at him and said, hey CY Resries, continue speaking. I'm a man and you're a woman, so I'll play the role of your father and play the role of your mother. Cyrus then leaned down and kissed Bella's forehead and said, I'll take responsibility for you. Bella suddenly blushed and turned back. Currently, the spider monster has been cut into many pieces by Cyrus and he lands on the ground. Cyrus then continued running. He told Bella she would be okay. And Nap-Ga was now standing in front of Jedin. She said she was still a little away from being able to lower the temperature. Suddenly around Nap-Ga's body appeared swirling blue auras that looked like ice and snow, she said. So let me add and withdraw. Nap-Ga jumped into Jedin. Turned back to Cyrus. A monster's mouth was open, gathering force. It looked like a dragon. It shot aura towards Cyrus. Cyrus immediately jumped above its head. Turned back to Nap-Ga. Surrounding her was a bright blue aura. I said that the demon god is holy. I cannot serve you myself. And on Cyrus's side, he activated the move of instant body beheading and rushed forward while slashing at the dragon. The dragon was slashed by Cyrus, collapsed to the ground. Suddenly, the sword in Cyrus's hand slowly disappeared. He widened his eyes in surprise, thinking that after his fierce sword disappeared, his system announced that the enemy had been destroyed. The gas returns to the system. The system announces the next 12 hours, opening the time to return the weapons. Cyrus continues to run. He thinks it's okay. Anyway, it's about to exit and then the scene changes to someone walking. Go. It was a group of Celat people. They shouted, finally got out. Captain Celat, we're out. Kuro, we're still alive. Celat was being held up by a teammate. Celat thought to himself, it's dangerous. I almost died in the underground city. He told his teammates that it hurt so bad. The dragon scale armor was broken because of that Cyrus dog, but maybe he was killed by the boss by now. Suddenly Cyrus came from the city. Stepping out secretly, one of Celat's teammates saw Cyrus and suddenly shouted, ah. He told Celat that the captain of Cyrus was still alive. Hearing that, Celat turned around in doubt and asked what. Cyrus walked from inside the entrance. He came out with a very serious face, his left hand holding Bella and his right hand pulling DNY away. Celat saw that and immediately got angry and took the sword of his teammate Cyrus. How dare you sneak behind us and escape from there? Take the sword, see that, say my sword. Celat ignores that guy and continues. Cyrus, who gives you the guts to disobey my orders? Celat rushes towards Cyrus. Celat still continues, I will take the position of captain and deprive you of your status. You're on the subjugation team. Celat frantically yelled at you. Don't you dare use the association's healing resources to prolong your life any longer. I want to be here. To deal with you, you just withdrew your words. Celat was kicked by Cyrus in the face. Cyrus kicked Celat down on the ground. Cyrus said, I don't have time to talk to you right now. After saying that, he ran away and left Celat with her face pressed unconscious on the ground by her crab-headed teammate looking at him worriedly. He said the captain and the other guy pointed at Cyrus and shouted, Cyrus, you dare kick the captain, you're sure to die. The crab-headed teammate looked at the tattered, almost naked Celat lying unconscious on the ground. Sires kicked the captain into the wall and quickly took the captain to the association's hospital. The white-haired man smiled and asked, "Why don't you like my hug?" Seijay looked at that person and asked, "Satis, sir, why are you here?" That was Satis. Satis looked at Seijay and replied, "What's surprising? Come evening I will lose all my strength and return to my original appearance as a woman." Sires was surprised by Satis's words. She remained silent. Satis stuck out her tongue, smiled and looked at Seijay and said that you will have to protect me and kill everyone who is hostile to me at night. Satis reached out and grabbed Seijay's chin and said again. Satis stuck out his tongue and pulled Seijay's face. Satis smiled and continued, "Don't think you can kill me or run away during the day. You drink my blood and at night I can still give birth and resonate with the blood in your body, causing you to disintegrate in an instant. So you have to be obedient and listen. Somewhere else Sires is searching all the rooms in the underground city. He stands in front of a cosmetic room but it's an empty room with nothing." After that, Sires hurriedly ran to get the demon blood. He must still be somewhere in this underground city, he must get it. He ordered the system to open the map. He thought to himself that he must search all the places. The room in this place is new. At the association hospital, 2 doctors pushed Bella in and called out to quickly get away. These 2 people need to perform first aid and prepare to rescue the patient. Sires panted with tired eyes. "It's finally here. You turn around and run away now. I need to quickly return to the underground city. I'm just 1 step away from getting the demon god's blood." In Jedin a line of pink letters lit up and ran around a green lake. Suddenly in the lake there was a stream of blood-red water rising up. That stream erupted, it gathered in one place. Gathered into a pool that was as red as blood. A golden bell in front. Seijay hid in a corner and looked at that canopy, wondering what Nap-ga would summon by sacrificing himself. In that canopy, 2 hands came out and lifted the curtain. Suddenly, it seemed like there was a suction force that made its fabrics flutter and make a loud ringing sound. That suction force made Seijay fall down. It seemed like he was also affected by that suction force. In his heart Seijay was scared, thinking what kind of scary feeling was this, like being stabbed by countless needles into a person's bones. A boy with red hair with only a white cloth wrapped around him appeared from that parasol. That person said, "This familiar taste, this familiar feeling is truly my Hwa one." Then it turned out to be a ghost. "God Satis," he excitedly said, "that I have returned to the human world." Seijay was scared and sweating as he ran fast, thinking to himself that this place is too dangerous, I have to leave here quickly. Satis opened his eyes and looked at the place Seijay is hiding. Satis rushes forward quickly, then he touches the wall. Satis swings his hand hard, a huge stream of power shoots straight up, breaks the wall and penetrates straight up. The monster above saw the stone floor cracking and immediately jumped up and whipped the ground, cracking and then falling to his death. Satis looked at Seijay lying on the stone floor surrounded by rocks and monsters falling from above. All the floors of the underground city were cracked by Satis's swing, creating a large hole that opened up to the ground. The demonic beasts groaned and fell to the bottom floor and fell painfully. "Too bad, this is Lord Nap-ga's room." "Lord Nap-ga, what are you doing? Why is a guy looking up and saying that? You guys quickly look up there. Above is the sun that is slowly going down. The monsters are talking loudly." The underground city collapsed and the whole sky could be seen. Being able to do this kind of thing is Lord Nap-ga. How is it possible that this has gone beyond the scope of authority of Lord Nap-ga? It must be this master in front of you who did it. So Lord Nap-ga, Satis immediately said that Nap-ga is dead. Satis continued, "Now I need a servant." The monsters were surprised by Satis' words. They looked at Satis and said to each other, "Master Nap-ga is dead now. Should we run away or?" A demonic beast immediately knelt down in front of Satis and said that demonic beasts are a race that pursues great power and have lived until now. "You are stronger than Nap-ga. I am willing to follow you, please. Give me a break, I'll follow you." The other monsters saw that and shouted, "Me too, I also want you to live and die and follow you." Satis glanced at the monsters. Satis waved his hand and said bad things too. Those demonic beasts immediately broke into pieces and green blood splattered. Satis stuck out his tongue and said, "I don't like ugly servants." Satis turned towards Seijay and landed on the ground. Seijay bowed his head, looked very scared. Satis looked at Seijay and smiled and said, "You still look like you can raise your head." Seijay immediately raised his head. Satis continued to speak and opened his mouth. Seijay slowly opened his mouth, looking very reluctant. Then Seijay's mouth also opened, her eyes wide, tears flowed out. Satis cut his hand to let blood flow out. He poured it into her mouth. Satis told Seijay to swallow. Seijay's eyes widened. Around Seijay's body a blue aura appeared with green plus signs. Seijay blushed and thought in her head, "This feeling, my body is starting to heal itself and it's so strong." Satis lowered his head and stuck out his tongue, raised his hand to lift Seijay's chin and said, "Now you feel very comfortable, isn't it? My blood can heal all injuries on the body and also increase strength." Seijay looks very happy right now. Her face is red as the evolution process can do. "You're so happy that you're orgasming." Satis stood up straight and looked at Seijay, who was still in pleasure, and told her, "It's almost dark. Go find a clean room and wait for me." Scene change at the association building. With one hand pressed Selet's head and hit it hard on the table. That was S level. Darine yelled at Selet, "What did you say?" The mission failed. Selet was pressed by Darine's hand on the table, crying and saying, "I'm sorry." Selet continued, "Can you think of a way to help me? If I lose my position as captain, I will have to hand it over to the association, and how will it be interrogated, in case we secretly profiteer using the association's resources and get caught?" Now. Darine let go and yelled at Selet to shut up. "I know." Selet was released and he raised his head and groaned. "Ah." Darine sat on a chair holding a stack of documents in her hand and asked Selet, "Just now you said there was an argument in the team, is that your order?" Selet immediately answered, "Yes, his name is Sires." Darine frowned coldly and said so, pushing all the responsibility for the failed mission this time onto him, taking the crime of desertion and executing him. Another place. Sires is rolling his eyes, sweating and looking tired, thinking to himself. Sires is standing in front of Jedin in the underground city, wondering why this is happening. Sires ran up to Jedin, wondering if his antidote was still there. Sires looked inside and was suddenly surprised and thought blankly. Somewhere else in the underground city, where the crescent moon was shining in the sky, of Seijay holding her hands between her thighs, sitting on a piece of red cloth. Her face looked very scared and worried. Suddenly from behind, a pair of hands grabbed Sires's shoulders and caressed her cheeks. Seijay blushed and said, "Lord Satis, please don't be like that." "Is that so?" The person behind hugged Seijay, making Seijay surprised. She screamed, "Aw." Seijay thought to herself that there was something very soft sticking close to her back. She didn't know it was a big breast. The person in front, after breathing in from Seijay's mouth and ears. Seijay blushed and pulled away from that person's hand. "Ha ha. A girl with long, silky white hair and red eyes. Honestly speaking, I don't either. I want to become like that, but there's no other way. My heart is sealed in the Yang Ya Association. I'm not perfect right now, so at night I'll turn into a weak human." That girl caught me. Her head stuck out her tongue, her eyes narrowed, her face became scary, and she said, "But as long as it's daytime, when I restore my demonic powers, we'll go to Yang Ya Association headquarters to take back my heart." The current city seen into the eyes of that female ghost and said that at that time all creatures in this world, whether day or night, will once again be tamed under my power. Seijay's footsteps echoed. Up. Her ears are like a goblin. Seijay walked over and said, "There is someone worth coming here, so let's go take a look." At this time that witch just kept silent. Seijay turned her head around. The ghost's face was a bit surprised. The ghost slowly spoke up and said, "When fighting, don't be more than 5 kilometers away from me. If you go beyond this range, I will directly consider you as a fugitive and dissolve your body. Do you understand?" Seijay, "I see. There is a sign that says the blood of the demon god is in the underground city." Sires quickly wiped it towards the door and said that it is still here. Now only the front room has not been searched, that's for sure. There. Sires ran quickly and said that it was indeed still in this place. Sires said that now only the room in front had not been searched. He must have been there at this time, accidentally meeting Seijay. Seijay suddenly panicked. Suddenly he raised his leg straight up. Sires panicked and accidentally lay down and slid over. Sires shouted loudly. At this moment, Sires accidentally saw Seijay's eyes looking at him. Sires stood up and saw Seijay speaking sarcastically. It was a disgusting human being. In another scene, at this moment, the white-haired girl screamed loudly. Her face turned red and she said, "Why is it like this just now? My body is trembling. This reaction can only happen when I get close to my heart." The scene changed. Seijay wondered and asked that, "Now why are you coming back? Hurry up and get out of here before dawn." Seijay said, "You've recovered to the point where you can fight." Sires asked if the mushrooms I gave you were delicious. Seijay was upset and her face started to turn red. Sires replied that it was nothing at all. "It was the most difficult mushroom I've ever eaten, so get lost." A sign appeared on the board saying favorability was 71%. Sires asked why her face was so red. Seijay hesitated. Then Sires said that her feelings for me were higher than I thought. Seijay kicked her legs up in front of Sires and told, "You to talk nonsense. I don't have any feelings towards you." Seijay's face clearly showed her anger. Seijay's face was red as Sires said. Seijay threw her whole foot at Sires' face, making Sires surprised and panicked, shouting, "You ba ba." Seijay said, "I only feel disgusted by humanity." At this moment, Seijay looked down at the ground and was surprised to see Sires was nowhere to be seen. Seijay suddenly spoke up, "Huh?" Seijay wondered and said that I clearly stepped on his face but still let him escape. Seijay turned around and saw Sires running closer to the door. Then Sires said, "I have urgent work to come play with you later." Sires moved closer to the door. Then he said he felt Sires was able to open the door with the magic blood right behind the door. At this time the white-haired girl appeared in front of Sires. Sires exclaimed loudly in panic. Sires was silent, not knowing what to say. Her eyes Sires stared at the female ghost. At this time she said that human. The white-haired girl stretched out her hand, causing Sires to retreat to Seijay, wondering why Satis-sama came out here. Her seeing that, he squeezed Sires' body, making Sires scream loudly and then continued to scream my heart out. The ghost now looked at Sires with a surprised face. Sires said, "Why is he in this position, human body?" Sires retreated and shouted loudly, "Let me go, what do you want to do?" The words demon blood appeared on the board. Sires shouldered the girl again, making her freeze. Sires thinking about my antidote, why did it turn into a human? At this time, Sires grabbed the witch's hand. Sires put his hand to his nose and smelled it and said that her blood was the antidote. Facial expression: the white-haired girl's face turned red, clearly showing her shyness. The girl Lilen Ha. A board appeared next that said it hasn't detoxified its remaining life of 101 days. Sires said it's impossible. Why doesn't her blood have any effect? The girl's eyes began to turn red with a mysterious look and she said that now that I have turned into a human, of course the blood has no effect. Seijay rushed forward, kicked his legs up high and shouted loudly, letting go of his hand, causing Sires to panic and retreat even further. The ghost said that my heart was absorbed by a human being, turned into pure essence contained in the dirty parts of his body. The white-haired girl stuck out her tongue, her face started to turn red, and said that if she wanted to get her strength back, she could only forcefully suck it back into her body. Sires said that at that time, your body will turn into a pool of thin blood. This is a punishment for daring to use my power. Could it be that other liquids on her body are effective in detoxifying? Sires continued to say, "Let's take it away first," and was about to say it while walking. Suddenly he looked down at the ground and saw something like a thorn. He didn't know what it was when it appeared from there. Now a boss. Sires shouted loudly in panic. The boss said that Lord Satis, thousands of miles away, sensed your aura. This kind of crazy soul feeling is rolling in my body. The necklace he gave me has never been taken off. The boss's face gradually turned red. It approached the girl and Seijay, causing the two girls to fall. "That boss. I said I have proven my love for you, can I eat you? In the future, you will only belong to me." Unexpectedly, after the boss finished speaking, he immediately ran up to that white-haired girl. Sires quickly rushed to hug her and ran away. The boss suddenly looked over and saw Sires hugging the ghost girl and rushing out. Sires said that this place already has a boss-level monster so quickly. Sires quickly landed on the ground and told himself that damn it, he needed to take her to a safe place first. The scene changed at this moment. The boss started to get up and said loudly, "Give him back to me, human, you don't run." Sires brought that girl to say it was safe. He breathed a sigh of relief, then said the last one also managed to get rid of that demon beast. At this time the girl woke up and saw that her surroundings were very strange, so she asked, "Where are you taking me?" Sires said that Area Z belongs to my Yang Ya guild. The ghost girl sat up and said, "Is that really so? After I regain my strength, I can directly kill the world and make you pay for sealing my heart." She approached Sires and hugged his neck and said, "Master Yang Ya." Sires stood still, not knowing what to say. Then the white-haired girl continued, "I am under the terrifying curse of a demonic beast. If I don't quickly find a man to marry, I will die, so please. Master Yang Ya must save me," the girl said, her face turning red, looking very scared. Sires told me that an upright Yang Ya would absolutely not take advantage of a house fire to loot. "Hey," that ghost girl pressed Sires to the ground and begged Lord Yang Ya. "I feel a lot of pain in my body, you must save me." Sires grimaced, feeling uncomfortable, then told the girl that damn it, I didn't expect him to facing this shameful situation. My inner self told me that I absolutely could not do something like taking advantage of a house fire to steal loot. Otherwise my righteous soul would be extremely miserable. The other girl said, but it's my responsibility as a Yang Ya to tell me that the person who needs my help is in pain. I can't just sit back and watch. Sires said he was willing to sacrifice his life to rescue her, and then that girl said, "Let me alone. Admit the feeling of pain come from deep in your heart." Her eyes looked very sad. She said, waiting for me to suck out the essence to get strength. Sires looked annoyed, his face gradually turned red, then he said, "Goodbye, you humans will be killed by me." The white-haired ghost suddenly felt surprised by Sires's tail and said, "Yes, that's a tail. Why are you human? Why do you have a tail?" Sires continued, "Wait. Yes, the tail must be in the back, this one is in the front." Sires shouted loudly. It seemed like Sires had encountered something. Sires saw a pair of eyes and said, "Where?" A loud scream rang out. The girl sat up and retreated away. Sires panicked and retreated towards the door, accidentally causing something to fall to the ground. Sires panicked and hesitantly said, Why she also had. Sires's face was purple and full of fear. The girl came closer to Sires and said, "Lord Yang Ya, just now, you said you would save me." She stuck her tongue out and got closer and closer to Sires. Then she said, "Oh well, it's almost dawn. This body of mine is about to undergo an irreversible change." At this time the girl turned around and saw that strange creature and asked, "What?" Sires, and she began to see that strange creature emerging into a human being. That person's name was Ma Wang. Ma Wang's body crawled and put his hands on the wall because the space was quite narrow and said he was hungry. "Master. I'm so hungry. I'm about to die of hunger. Master, please help me." Sires pointed in Ma Wang's direction and pushed the white-haired ghost away and said that I think she needs my help more than I saved her first and then saved her now. Ma Wang thought this nest was so small that even his body couldn't feel comfortable. Sires bluffed and asked, "If you were hungry, I'll go cook for you right here," and finished speaking. Sires rushed out. The fire inside the stove burst into flames. Sires thought about cooking to prolong the time for a while. But what should I do after that? If I don't save that person and that person dies, I can't really solve the poison on my body. Had to do with that person. Sires shouted, "No, I can't do it." The scene changed to the room where there was a white-haired girl. At that time she thought, "I don't want to wait until daylight to regain my strength right now." The white-haired ghost was thinking and looking at Ma Wang. Ma Wang also raised his head to look back at the white-haired girl entering the kitchen where Sires was cooking. She walked closer to Sires and said, "If you don't want, so we can only take the initiative," and then she finished speaking. She came closer to Sires and hugged his neck, causing Sires to scream loudly. Sires shouted loudly to let me go, causing the white-haired girl to step back. Sires told me to cook after that. I went to save her first, saying Sires, and ran out to Ma Wang, leaving the white-haired girl standing alone. She was quite angry, thinking that this human body is so weak, it's basically without the strength to push him. He ran over and suddenly saw Ma Wang drinking something. Then Sires whispered. Sires found out and said it was toilet cleaner. She drank. "It's okay," Ma Wang complimented while drinking and said, "This is delicious." Ma Wang took Sires' food and started to enjoy it. The girl came closer to Sayers and said, "You finished cooking and saved her, and now it's my turn." Sayers panicked and backed away and said, "Calm down a bit and listen to me." Sayers' face turned purple. Looking scared, the ghost girl pressed Sayers against the wall and said, "I don't want to listen to you using the excuse. I want it right now." Sayers was stripped of all his clothes, causing him to panic and scream that my clothes. She looked at Sayers with a shy face. And Sayers got angry and said loudly that "You're stupid, I won't do this kind of thing." The scene changed. Sayers was like sitting in a golden castle. He suddenly turned to face the back and the door opened. Along with people who were waiting for these people with a big and muscular body, one of them said, "He, let's come and play together." Sayers became even more scared and shy. Then Sayers shouted loudly that he likes this, it's even more terrifying. He immediately thought about how such a small piece of cloth could cover it if it was placed horizontally. If it's not long enough to wrap around the waist and the back, everything will be exposed. If it's straight, you'll have to use your hands to press both front and back to wave at passers-by. Basically, if you can't cover it, it will be exposed no matter what. Sayers said loudly to her, "Girl, I'll leave that person to you. I'll go out and talk." Sayers will run out. Ma Wong saw that and said that on a normal day, humans would wear that. Why did the ghost standing behind think that raw can only be seen? Wait until morning. Ma Wong took the bottle of toilet cleaner and turned to ask the girl if she wanted to drink it. It didn't taste good. She replied no need. At this time, Sayers used a cloth to cover his face, leaving only his eyes exposed. He thought he couldn't let others see his face. Sayers continued, "Now go to the square. There are many people. I'll complete the mission quickly. Hey. As soon as he finished speaking, he ran quickly to the square. At this time, the boss had already escaped and said that those damn humans escaped too quickly. But I sensed that you were in this area, and the boss's face at that time was quite scary. Long mouth close to the ears. Sayers, after running away from Lord Sadis, ran down the street with an empty upper and lower body and promptly covered his face with a scarf because he thought that no one would see his face and wouldn't know who he was. He thought, it's not as good as the author's calculation that a group of people saw this guy being a pervert in the middle of the street and just wanted to catch the news that the weapon return mission had been completed. 12 out of 33 remaining time 7 minutes 42 seconds. Message showing mission in Sayers was only worried about running for his life to avoid being caught by passers-by. While Seijay went to Sadis Wangbi's residence, panicking and announcing that someone was coming to Sayers to persuade Sadis and Wangbi to leave to avoid the Yangya association. Discovered. Sadis Day Wang reassured Seijay that it was about dawn, there was no need to hide like that. While Lord Sadis, in the form of a seductive white-haired, pink-eyed demon girl, licked his hand and ordered Seijay go find humanity and bring it back to him. Informing him that when the sun rises, Seijay just needs to drop her own blood on the ground. My lord will immediately teleport to it. Seijay obeyed the order and turned around and left. Then I thought about what Master Sadis would do after regaining his essence, or would he become a pool of blood? Seijay won on the top floor of a tall building and heard the commotion down the street. Sayers was still being chased and ran for his life, but he still didn't forget to run and wish loudly to the boss who sold a lot of goods. The boss heard that but just wanted to wear pants because he didn't know who this pervert was on the street showing off his dick and wishing him the best. Weapon return mission completed. 24 out of 33 remaining time 4 minutes 53 seconds. When the message displayed about 2/3 completed, out of nowhere a monster crashed into him. Chasing after Sayers is a demonic beast with a spiky mouth. A sea-level spiky spider, a spider demonic beast that has just appeared at a crucial moment. Sayers is both on duty and fighting while naked. Cover yourself and quickly get excited and turn on the system. Star is in the process of returning weapons. You cannot use the system. All attributes return to the elementary state of level F. Sayers with a shocked appearance and panicked. Please quickly complete the weapon return mission. The system continuously announces. At that moment, the city's announcement loudspeaker broadcasts the announcement of a magical beast appearing at number 17, Area Z, please be timely. Leaving the area. The loudspeaker announcement just rang out. Yang Ya held and then threw the spiky spider demon beast to the ground. Holding the demon beast with one hand and reaching out for reinforcements with the other hand, I caught its leg and gave it to me. I have a weapon so I can handle it. Sires, with a light-headed mind, immediately high-fived and praised great work. Yang Ya said goodbye. Yang Ya was confused and then opened his mouth to ask Sires, are you sick? Are you fighting? Did you say hello? Did your pants get blown away by a demonic beast? Turning around, the spiky spider demonic beast escaped from Yangja's hand and sprayed some blue liquid. Yang Ya couldn't stop screaming. It escaped. Just in time, a blond man appeared with a sword in his hand and cut the monster in half to Yangja's surprise. Was the leader of the A-level Carrick security team, just like the name of the security team leader. Carrick narrowed his eyes, put the sword in its scabbard, and said with every deadly word that you guys were having such a hard time with just a few small sea-level spiders. Standing behind Carrick was the vice captain of the Yang Ya Chartan Association, sweating a little. Drops all over his face and praised Carrick for doing a good job. Consider me coming to the battle this time and quickly bring me back. A lively sound came out and the female Ma Wong spider appeared. I smelled it and the other man was right nearby. The whole group of soldiers panicked and pulled out their swords, ready to fight to protect Mr. Chartan and retreat. Carrick swung his sword to attack the witch, but the witch dodged to the side, causing the sword to miss. At the same time, Ma Wong the spider girl sprayed a dark purple liquid at the captain, causing the captain to panic and fall to the ground. Ah, it's poisonous, don't touch its body. The spider girl Ma Wong really despises humanity. We're so weak that we can't stand a bit of poison like that. The remaining two soldiers ordered each other to stop him and lead Mr. Chartan to leave here quickly. The female Ma Wong spider laughed loudly. Stop me, I'm being underestimated. The weapon return mission has been completed 32 out of 33 with no minutes and 57 seconds remaining. When the Sire's COMED notification system was running like hell, one person was missing. And at the same time, Soldier Carrick was still missing. Also, my whole body was soaked with poison. Such a painful scream. The female Ma Wong was addicted to clutching the soldier's head tightly, exclaiming that your screams after being poisoned were truly unbearable. After hearing the compliment, the poisoned soldier could only become speechless. This guy stopped shouting, making the spider Ma Wong a little regretful and wanted to hear more. They still haven't heard enough. Mr. Chartan could only scream loudly. Help support here, female support is needed. Ma Wong's spider approached and pressed his face close to Mr. Chartan before he could do anything. Sires appeared and shouted loudly, let that man go. Fat man, look at me. Mr. Chartan finally dared to open wide eyes, looked in the direction of Sires and then in confusion. Star+1 completed the mission, returned the weapon. A stream of green energy surrounded Sires, returned his clothes and turned on the system. Star. Please draw one system card. Pops up 9 cards forming a circle around Sires. Quickly pick up a crystal card to get the Silent God hand weapon. Sire's transformation weapon. Human Milk sees the transformed hand but wearing a pair of Iron Man's iron gloves. This weapon, after being concentrated and touching the enemy, will exchange with surrounding objects when the enemy lets out a scream from within, activating the soundless power skill. It's very prestigious. If Ma Wong turns around and discovers that it's that human and then asks you where you hid my Satis. Even though Sires knows where Satis is, it's far from saying I won't hand that person over to you. The female Ma Wong admitted that she was angry, so I will kill you. When morning comes, I will personally go find Sires. Standing opposite, she waved her arms and shouted to the court. One of the demonic beast's legs hit the floor hard, causing Sires to fly backwards. But Sires was able to use the weapon with both hands on the ground to reduce friction to win against the female Ma Wong spider with her face completely red. Why does it feel like someone is touching my body like this? The chest part extending down to the abdomen of the female Ma Wong spider's body has white fluid flowing out of it. Progressing information scream. 12% notification system activates voiceless power. Female Ma Wong addicted to collapsing and falling. He suddenly fell to the ground, angrily clutching his chest. Just now, that human was touching my chest. Why did I scream? Immediately, an invisible force hit me. Although it wasn't fatal, it was very painful. This is your ability, isn't it, human? Sires here crossed his arms and smiled smugly. Ma Wong, feeling guilty, declared that both my body and soul belong only to Lord Satis, who are if anyone dares to touch me, they will die. I will never let out a traitorous scream like that again. The essence of the scream is directly related to the power of the voiceless. Female Ma Wang is addicted to approaching sires and slowly attacking. The attack of releasing all the toxins in the body is concentrated in my hands. I want to burn you to ashes to apologize to Lord Satis. Sires stand still and motionless. Female Ma Wang is addicted to speeding up and attacking sires at the speed of dead light. In pain, this is the price I have to pay for touching my body. The female Ma Wang spider used her spider legs on her lower body to attack sires but missed the wall. Sires moved to avoid the attacks from Spider Ma Wang. Female simultaneously uses her power gloves to silently counterattack. Spider Ma Wang female screams loudly, screaming progress 43%. Bang Spider Ma Wang female with a painful fall that makes the floor shake. Sires also had to throw back. Sires looked at her gloves and thought about the feeling of the attack just now. This feeling felt like she had just touched her armpit. The female Ma Wang was holding her mouth with both hands as she vomited blood in so much pain that the attack just now was several times stronger than the previous attack. That's right, because the speed of the scream was directly related to the strength of the voiceless, the more she thought. The female Ma Wang spider blushed even more, embarrassed and confused, wondering to herself why she cried out. Wasn't it because she was determined to hold back? Spider Ma Wang still hasn't forgotten the touch just now. The place that was touched this time was under her armpit, it was so itchy. A second later Spider Ma Wang returned to her true nature. She tilted her upper body back and the aesthetic was only for a moment. Eyes, but it really makes me feel happy. It's clear that it's something that only Lord Satis can do, like this human being can do it. Just getting out of her slightly lost thoughts, Ma Wang admitted. I immediately felt guilty. What's wrong with me? I'm sorry, Lord Satis. How could I think of comparing you to humanity? How can a despicable human being compare to the noble female Ma Wang spider? I hit my head with one hand until it bled to wake up. I really deserved to die. I woke up like that. Can you forgive me? Sires stood to the side and sighed, beating himself in the head. Does she have a problem? The spider Ma Wang turned to Sires and sarcastically praised your move. This time it seems like the spider Ma Wang was serious about fighting. She pulled out her weapon and I'll be serious. Sires stood there thinking that the next step to touch after the previous two attacks was the chest and armpit. Sires' prediction this time was that place should be behind. The female Ma Wang received, brandishing a weapon to attack Sires. Turned around and ran away. Female Ma Wang felt proud and now realized it was too late to run away. Female Ma Wang spider raised her sword and attacked Sires from behind with a strong blow. Luckily Sires avoided since my agility is higher than hers. It's still a long way before she slashes me. Just finished the sentence, the Spider King squirts white fluid from her butt. The spider's web won't work. Sires' whole body was attacked by a spider web that stuck his whole body to the wall. Now where are you going to run? The spider Ma Wang was pleased after the attack just now. Ma Wang decided to launch her final move to finish off Sires. Sires struggled to swing his hand out of the spider web, opening just enough of his hand to use the move of the silent god's hand. This time, as Sires predicted, it was the inner thigh. Perhaps it was predicted. Sires' guess was correct. The female Ma Wang spider suddenly frowned and her movements became very strange. The female Ma Wang spider covered her mouth tightly with both hands to restrain herself from making another strange sound. This time, she must hold back. Scream progress 1%. After that effort, the crowned woman smiled happily. I did it, and sure enough, as long as I don't scream, I won't be attacked. I felt happy and looked back. On the spider's side, Sires successfully escaped. Sires' voice came from behind. I never said I wanted to run away. The female Ma Wang gently chuckled. What a fool. I saw through the attack method. Your attack just now was your only chance to run away. It turns out that the spider Ma Wang knew the method of these silent hands, so she used her own spider web to close her mouth to not make a sound. Next, all that's left is for me to unilaterally oppress and torture you. Finished speaking, Sires attacked the spider Ma Wang girl by directly stating the feeling just now that the place on her body felt like it was her inner thigh, right? The spider Ma Wong girl was startled and blushed. She was a worthy pervert. Observing carefully. Just like Sire's guessed, the figure of the female Ma Wong spider's body appeared in her mind. Indeed, this place was arranged based on her body proportions. Sire's immediately launched a powerful attack. Paralyzing her body, she found a sensitive spot that drove her crazy. Female Ma Wong once again brandished her weapon to prepare to attack after seeing through Sire's attack trick. Even if her body was touched, she would still determined not to make any sound. Suddenly Sire's used the move of his silent hands to attack without hesitation. A came and then a succession of sounds emanated from the female Ma Wong spider cancer. Not seeing Sire's reaction was a bit disappointed, thinking about another way to attack. The female Ma Wong spider's face was sweating at that time. Her eyes were lethargic and tired, as if she was about to be unable to survive after the last attack. I feel like this time, unlike the previous times, it seemed like it came from within. Although she was a little proud of herself for being able to suppress it, it seemed that her body had been consumed no less than Sir Satis. You see, even though she was immersed in this feeling, I have also been able to hold back. If Ma Wong accepts that he does not want to betray Satis, he swings his sword and prepares to attack Sire's. This kind of happiness will not be able to compare with what you give him. Sire's is not easy to give up, swinging her two hands to attack with a sinister smile. Try this. Sire's two hands struck, causing Ma Wang's body to twist and stretch uncontrollably. Her face quickly changed, her cheeks blushing. This kind of pleasure seemed to shoot up to his brain. Somewhere by the ruins, Charton was watching the fight between Sire's and the spider Ma Wong girl with an admiring expression on her face, and the female monster twisted her body again. What exactly is this magic that just made the female demonic beast moan loudly? I want to learn it so much. The female Ma Wong spider collapsed on the ground with many questions about how that human could achieve pleasure. Bursting out from inside was truly amazing. While the dazed image of Master Satis in her heart began to become vague in the thoughts of the female Ma Wong spider. Using all her strength, she tried to calm herself down to stop her. Don't let yourself continue to think like that. Sire's was a little disappointed when he couldn't make her scream out loud. It seemed like it wasn't stimulating enough. There is no other way. Ma Wong is addicted to pouring the toxins in her body into weapons. This is called the poison spell move to attack Sire's. This time, it is expected that she will not fall easily anymore. Sire's is no less. Next, use all your energy to unleash my human sensing technique. Once again, female Ma Wong collapsed completely unexpectedly. This feeling was so intense that she basically couldn't move forward anymore. She must quickly kill Sire's to be at peace, otherwise Lord Satis will disappear from her mind. As soon as she withdrew her thoughts, she immediately threw the mirror straight at Sire's without further hesitation. Still Sire's agility dodged this attack easily. The female Ma Wong spider also did not hesitate to launch the next attack at a very close distance. Releasing poison into her body, Sire's caused toxins to splash everywhere. But it seemed like she underestimated Sire's agility. No matter what the meeting space was, he quickly jumped to the roof of the house in the distance to avoid the poison. Sire's was not easily bound by the spiderweb like last time. He jumped down and swung his arms out to both shoulders, all the way to the wall, causing the female Ma Wong spider's body to twist again at a more difficult level. This time the feeling of joy has returned. Sire's fingers danced, creating an overwhelming attack, causing the spider Ma Wong to be unable to control herself and scream loudly, bursting the spider web on her body. I can't see Lord Satis's mouth. She screamed out loud after so much suppression from the previous attacks. I want to eat this human's flesh, and progress her scream 100%. With this scream, the attack power is absolute. A thunderbolt of energy creates a huge explosion. 2 magic points. 512 magic points 1. 250 magic points 54 magic points 165 magic points 32 magic points 0. Female Ma Wang's lower body from a giant spider becomes a very tiny spider as the enemy's crystal. The enemy has been destroyed, the weapon is returned to the system. Sire's steps forward and captures the spider in the palm of his hand. This is Gana. The sympathetic spiny spider 100% unlocked the passive skill of conquest. After defeating the boss, received the boss's unique skill. Sayers wondered if he could take the poison left in his blood so it could stick to the weapon, but then the sudden appearance of the red-haired demon beast shocked Sayers. Seijay dripped blood onto the ground at the same time Napga disappeared and went to Seijay and asked where that human was. Seijay remained silent for a while and replied, "Lord Napga, I lost track of him." Napga darkened his face and was angry at that guy's system. "It's my heart. If I don't take it back at night, I will turn into a human without magic power, but you've lost track of what you said." Suddenly there was a scream from far away. Napga was startled. This feeling was power. She immediately ran straight to the place where the scream came from, leaving Seijay sitting alone, not knowing what was going on. Besides, the system had unlocked the location lock, so the traditional demon beast had been brought home. Sayers immediately brought the purple spider back home and fell straight onto Mwang's head. She was suddenly startled. Something hit her. After bringing the purple spider home, Napga suddenly appeared from behind. "I found you." Sayers suddenly turned around and Napga pressed his head hard to the ground. "Yang Ya, sir, you agreed to save me. Why did you run away in the middle of the process? It made people so uncomfortable." Try Sayers. He forced himself to look up and sure enough, he was a man and a demon. "You tricked me, you were cursed." Napga calmly replied, "Yes." Sayers shouted, "Now what do you want?" Napga continued to answer, "So you could continue to fulfill the promise you made." "It's not finished yet." Sayers is angry. "I'm not interested in men." Why did Napga gently say this, making Sayers wonder in response, and then turned around to see. Napga transformed into her cosplay form. A little cat yelped. "Are you interested in turning into this?" Sayers shouted helplessly. "I couldn't accept it, so I immediately jumped up and counterattacked even if he changed into this form. No matter what, I won't be interested." After speaking, I waved my hand and raised my fist. "I don't like men," but Napga caught me and gently twisted Sayers' wrist, and then screamed in pain. Napga immediately said that don't you humans all like people who wear black tights, black socks and cat ears? Why did I think I could happily play with you? But in the end, you rejected me, making me very sad. Napga thought to himself that we can only use strong measures, so he opened his mouth and prepared to taste Sayers' finger. Seeing that, Sayers was startled and backed away from Napga. "Are you really going to do this? Don't lick my hand." Napga felt a little regretful and licked the scent on his hand. The scent was not bad. It was very sweet. Then he pointed his finger in the direction where Sayers was running and pressed his body down. "Ha ha ha, no matter what you do, I can't escape." Then fly up into the air and go to Sayers. "I've already filled the system's level. If you want to run away, just try to run away. Anyway, the result will be the same. If not, try using it." Sayers immediately tried his best to reply that I don't bother using the man binding system. This is my key point. After saying that, Napga immediately rushed towards me. "Sayers will make you experience the ultimate joy. Blood in my body is your antidote. Obediently listen to me. I will detoxify you." Sayers shouted angrily if he had to become friends with you to get it. "I vow to let your body dissolve with demon blood, and I will absolutely not do this to a man." And then the two of them immediately started fighting each other. Napga replied that if you want to defy me, you're too naughty and need to be taught. Napga immediately raised his hand and produced a bright yellow ball, pressing it close to Sayers' body. "I want to insert it into your body, making you proactively lift your butt." When the ball pressed directly against Sayers' back, a sound immediately appeared. "My heart bar, my power, my system, you are about to be able to return to your master's body." But suddenly the golden ball suddenly disappeared. Napga didn't ask, "Why is my magic like this? Why have we disappeared?" Suddenly the system rang. The system refused to return all of the disabled person's attacks with Sayers. "Would you like to trade 50% of your life for a chance to kill Satis?" Sayers didn't hesitate to ask why. "Of course I choose to have the system once again ring. The player who has bound Satis activate the lost spear of Satis. After Satis is completely absorbed by the player can detoxify your vitality count going back 50 days. Napga immediately thought that the system refused to return to my body but did this. Sires immediately secretly came up with a strategy. Within 10 meters, I could tie him up as soon as I saw him, then Sires shouted. Tied up. A huge burst of red explosive smoke rose up, covering everything around him. Sires immediately thought that the damn red smoke was because of him. It was so strong that he couldn't open his eyes. And then Nap Ga slashed him. All the way up, the blood flowed down, and at that moment, Seij's hand also bled and fell onto the grass. Why did my hand suddenly bleed like this? Nap Ga immediately teleported straight to where Seij escaped from Sires. Seij was surprised. Sir Satis panicked. It was so dangerous that I almost lost my life. Damn the system. But you betrayed me, so I thought my position had been marked by the system. But unexpectedly the system found Napga's location and told Sires the system located his location. This guy was so powerful that he ran so far in the blink of an eye. Seij saw Sir panic and asked Satis, Sir, are you sweating too much? Are you injured? Satis replied that no one here has hurt me, you drank my blood, my body, and you creates resonance. If I am injured, the damage will be transferred to your body. Seij was silent for a while and asked how he had dealt with that human. Nap Ga replied that now all of his attacks I was useless to him. Seij was surprised, really? Satis continued, that human didn't die. Are you happy? Seij then explained, no, I really hate that despicable guy. If you couldn't hurt him, then now. Let's go back to the underground city. Satis gently answered, no, I've been with the system for thousands of years. I barely understand it, it makes my attacks unable to hurt that humanity. But happiness is not there. Within the range of my attack, I can make him happy to death. It is very difficult for the system to find a suitable body for symbiosis. So if that human dies, it can only choose me more. If I needed to transform into a human, that system couldn't locate my location. Satis immediately called Sires to take me to find a human again tonight. While Sires was thinking he only had 50 days left to live. As long as I find Satis during this time, I will be detoxified and continue to live, I have to be sure of the time. Suddenly the poison in Sires' body relapsed, his heart ached and then turned to his burning legs. The burning pain made him scream ah. His eyes closed and he fainted because of the pain. Suddenly, a man passing by saw him lying on the ground and took him to the hospital. When he opened his eyes, he saw himself lying in the hospital. Seeing him awake, the doctor turned to his assistant and said. He woke up and quickly told Mr. Charton. The assistant doctor immediately said I could go now. He woke up dreamily and asked the doctor I was in the hospital. Why did someone bring me here? The doctor replied that he was the vice president of the association. Yang Ya Association, Mr. Charton brought you here, he bewilderedly asked the vice president. Open the door. Mr. Charton walked in. You finally woke up, you saved my life, remember? Sires immediately recognized him as a fat guy with a child. Spider pressed against the corner of the wall. Charton replied, ha yes. Sires asked me how long I had been in a coma. Charton immediately replied 13 hours. Sires was tired and said, for so long why did consecutive battles drain a lot of physical strength? 2. Charton replied, I'm too embarrassed because I was too hasty and carelessly disturbed him, so I didn't rest. Sires didn't say anything, just asked what was the matter with you looking for me. Charton stammered and replied, this is what I saw. He fought with the female ghost and confessed that his magic was very special. Sires gently asked, what else? Charton said even more hesitantly, what kind of ability does that old man have? That will decrease and no longer be interesting, but I see that you fight very well. I feel very interested. If I can learn, the youth will definitely return to save this year's miserable life, so. Suddenly Charton stood up straight. Please let me use this magic to accept me as a disciple, please. Sires suddenly thought to himself that the vice president of the association Yang Ya wants to accept me as his apprentice. If I do it, his master has this connection and using the association's resources will definitely help in the search for Satis. But this is the ability of the system that I teach. Sires immediately made a serious face. My magic is very difficult to learn, can you accept it? Charton shouted with enthusiasm. No matter how much I also have to try the master's introduction to practice. I will risk my life to study this crazy old man. Sires immediately started teaching the vice president magic. You see this, you need to start practicing. From the tips of his fingers. After hearing this, Chardon knelt down and shouted to the master above, "Please accept my kowtow." Sayers also replied, "Please stand up quickly." Chardon remembered something and said it right. "Then I can't move out here, so I'm also the vice president." Sayers said, "I understand." Suddenly there was a knock on the door from the secretary of the vice president, Mr. Chardon. "I have something to report." Chardon replied, "Come in." She held up the arrest warrant from Sayers for the crime of deserting the army and sentenced her to death. Sayers, "Suddenly I was convicted of deserting the army with the death penalty." The secretary replied, "Yes, on the document clearly stating you were in Sellett's team and did not obey the captain's orders and ran away on your own, leading to the mission failure." Chardon said, "If this matter can be resolved, I will slowly think of a way." Sayers immediately agreed, "No need. I don't have any escape. The boss of the underground city has now been dealt with by me." The secretary heard that and didn't believe it. "I found out the news when the squad retreated. You want me to believe that you are F rank and C rank Bella, and B level DNY. The three of you all destroyed the S level big boss. This is impossible." Hearing that, Sayers confidently replied that she could send someone to the underground city to verify what I said, which is no longer there. "I already sent someone there, but while waiting for the results, you need to be reassembled to prevent you from running away." The vice president immediately said, "No need for me to believe him." The secretary immediately turned to the vice president, "Vice President. President, that's not according to the rules." Chardon replied, "Then in the meantime, I will be his brother." The secretary said, "But tonight, who has to attend the consolation party organized by the association?" On the contrary, Sayers was looking forward to it. "I hadn't even been to the association's party yet." Chardon immediately said, "So, it's decided. I won't bother you while you're resting. When I go to the party, I'll come pick you up." Sayers happily replied. As soon as the vice president left Sayers, he opened the system. "That's right, I have to see Satis's location first. After resting, I will immediately go look for him." Sayers suddenly discovered that Satis had run out of the city. "Why did he come back and still be so close to me?" Sayers secretly thought that he was wrong. At the hospital, this distance and location. Sayers immediately realized that it was my house. He got home and immediately ran out of the hospital bed and rushed home. After searching all over the house, he found the spider was still there, but Sayers was angry when she discovered that Jenny had been taken away. Besides, Ma Wong opened her eyes to see that she was in a strange place, but here she was like this. At her feet was a shaped chain. The bridge was very loud next to Nap Gaw and immediately answered that this was the auction of magical beasts and humans. On the map showed Satis's location. Sayers ran barefoot in the rubble while thinking that Satis did not move at all for half an hour. I was getting closer and closer to him. In the distance was a mountain above the starry sky. Looking at the scene and then looking at the ruins, I could only sigh. Sayers looked at the copy. The dot locator where Sayers was heading had disappeared. His location had disappeared. Then it was dark. Satis's whereabouts could not be traced. Why did he ask himself? Where did a person with that body come from? Tall and tall, he swung his blade towards Sayers and he immediately dodged it. His dodge caused the blade to hit the rock next to the dust and kicked it out. He also retreated a distance. He stopped, dust flew onto his face in anticipation of revealing it. He clenched his fists in a ready-to-fight position. The man who suddenly appeared warned that this was Chunsungyui's territory. We were intruding regardless of whether it was a demon or Yang Ya. They all died regardless of the crime. Sayers then panicked and realized that he was in a dangerous place. Xian Seonggi, the bandits relied on kidnapping to survive. Members of the bandit gang gradually appeared behind them. Behind the leader, there were about 8 people holding weapons like swords and spears of all kinds. The guy who had secretly attacked Sayers voiced his suspicion that the female demon and the woman in the prison were bait for him to find our location. Who knows, maybe there are other Yang Jas surrounding him right now. Others will know if they want to capture him again and interrogate him. Speaking of female magical beasts, Sayers immediately thought of a female magical beast that must be Irg, and I also wanted to ask if they had seen a perverted male magical beast. While in thought, a notice board appeared. Reminder. The weapon return mission will begin in 2 minutes. A message will appear. Sayers will immediately become serious. Entering the attribute return mission, it will return to its original D-level state. There will be 2 minutes left and you can only do quick combat. Somewhere Ma Wong Bai was imprisoned, his face contorted and he began to complain hatefully. He couldn't escape, there was an imprisoning magic that had recently not been like being nourished. His body had become I'm so weak, I don't know if I can still live with the human master. Next to Ma Wong Bai, there was another woman who heard Ma Wong Bai say that and immediately asked if she was a magical beast or not. She had returned to the city. Underground city star Ma Wong Bai replied, I don't have that kind of concept, lamb thang lizard. We originally relied on the blood of the male species to survive. Now we just rely on instinct to choose a stronger one. Humanity's lair is much better than the cave of monsters, and there is a bottle of wine that tastes very good. Ma Wong Bai complimented this drink by the way. Was confiding when suddenly one of the bandits was thrown by someone with a knife. With a very strong force, the hard wall also broke into pieces. The other 2 women were startled. Ma Wong Bai followed and exclaimed that the thrown guy went through a wall and then broke another wall. The scene at that time looked very messy, with rocks and dust flying everywhere. Sires stood in front of that guy. He looked so pitiful now. The wall next to him was also damaged and broken. Sires held it in his hand. The set of keys slowly went inside, thinking to himself that we'd be done within 2 minutes, then told the other guy that if he had given me the keys earlier, he wouldn't have been beaten. Then he sighed. Ma Wong, the female over there, saw him. Go in and call out loudly for the owner. Now the notice board appears again, opening the quest to return the weapon and spank another person's butt 10 times, making that person scream if that person doesn't call. The player will be locked in for 5 minutes within the time limit. The mission duration is 60 seconds. Sires found out about the mission and immediately grabbed the other guy and yelled, "Hey brother, wake up, can you make a sound?" he asked. Then the other guy didn't say anything and fainted. He fainted, regretfully fell into a deep coma, and knew he wouldn't have taken such a serious action. Seeing that Sires hadn't arrived yet, the woman spoke up. "Lord Yang Ya will come and save me tomorrow." Sires heard that and glanced over there, but in his mind, he didn't pay much attention to it. This was a suburban area. There would be monsters appearing at any time. Without the power of the system, it would be very dangerous. Complete the mission first, then he asked. And then he went to open the cuffs. Ma Wong opened the handcuffs and he called out Ma Wongbi's name as Ma Wongbai opened the handcuffs and fell down screaming ha ha. He didn't wait for Iyer to answer, he immediately hit Ma Wongbi's butt loudly and at the same time said that she was guilty. The girl Ma Wong was suddenly beaten and cried out, then she stood up with a pained face and said, "Master, what are you doing?" At the same time the notice board appeared again announcing your assignment. The weapon's return has made progress, setting a target of 1.10. Then Sires went to the woman and explained that in order for us to be able to leave here safely, I need to spank your butt, so please don't pay attention to the woman with purple hair. Hearing that, she looked up at Sires without replying. Her lips smiled slightly. She thought that he was indeed not a nice person, but he could think of such an outrageous reason. So in order to seduce me and deal with this type of scum, I just need to seduce him a little bit and he will definitely fall into the trap and fall deeper into it. Thinking like that, she immediately made a pitiful face and raised her leg to suggest that Sires should open. The lock said, "Lord Yang Ya to quickly help me open it, as long as you help me out. Don't say I'll spank my ass. Even if you tell me to repay it with my own body, I'll still be willing." The handcuffs were quickly released. You said open them. As soon as the handcuffs were removed, the woman immediately rushed to hug Sires, burying her face in his shoulder and telling Mr. Yang Ya that I was taken to this place by those ferocious people. Sires was also in such a situation. I don't know how to react. The woman hugged Sires tightly and said I was so scared. They said they wanted to sell me to Gosselin. Now Lord Yang Ya saved me. I'm yours. Sires ignored those words in his mind. Now his only goal was to complete the mission. He raised his hand and hit the other woman's butt once. And then Sires was stunned. Why didn't she scream? Why was it so quiet? The atmosphere became silent for a moment. Sires asked why she didn't make a sound. A series of question marks ran through Sires's head. The other woman raised her face and met her eyes. Sires was looking at her with surprise. The other woman asked if she could fight again. Sires immediately glared at her, thinking that's not right. At this time, the notice board showed up again with a target that hadn't made a sound yet. Playing with the body for 5 minutes, remaining time 56 seconds 45. He heard this news and immediately collapsed. The other two people just remained silent. Ma Wong Wong Bai, named Irg, immediately raised her hands to support him. Master, she said. If Ma Wong sat on top of him under the surprise of the other girl. I'm so upset that I need the blood in your body. If you don't prolong this talk, I'll really escape and die. She looked at Sires with a look of pity. Continue talking, Master. Why don't you say a word? I'll take it as if you agree. Ma Wong Wong Bai announces to start with the neck, then use his mouth to bite Sires' neck. Sires unconsciously screams, Miss. The other girl stood looking at the two of them with eyes that couldn't be more judgmental. Then she got angry and shouted loudly at you, lizard. You're so shameless that you dare to let go of him when I'm not ready to go ahead. She gave an order. Suddenly Ma Wong Wongbai's tail wrapped around the woman's body and the girl suddenly cried out. Ma Wong Wong Bai immediately hugged Sire's head as if afraid of being taken away by the other girl and said, No, I want him to be my master, not yours. Besides, I'm the one who came first. The other person struggled out of Ma Wang's tail. Wong Bai angrily thought, damn it, if it was daytime. He could escape from that. Ma Wong Wongbai's tail immediately sat down with the gun because she was tired, while Ma Wong Wongbai's side remained in that position. Ignoring the other person, the girl calculated that it was more important to rob the system and not have to fight with her. What is she doing? Thought. Then she leaned close to Sires's ear, thinking so. Then she leaned close to Sires's ear and thought about it together. She felt someone leaning close to her ear. Sires immediately opened her eyes and glanced up, exclaiming, No. But the two of them immediately blushed when they met each other's eyes. The girl's breath gradually blew into Sires's ear, causing it to turn red. He felt it wasn't real at all. He questioned himself, aha, woman. Hey, she was really caught. Why did she proactively do this kind of thing, and a series of other questions. From above, someone is watching the three of them. Seijay could only silently think, Sir Satis. If I were to do something like that, why would my body share the same feelings as him? Satis, that strange girl is Satis. I really didn't expect it. Down here, Satis is holding Sires's hand to touch the client's body that Satis is mixing with. He says, I haven't played like this for a long time. On the top of Seijay's shirt, it suddenly gets torn and she can't escape. Panic. And then the pain hit so hard that she couldn't help but let out an aha cry. However, it was not too loud for the three people below to recognize. On Satis's side, Satis was instructing Sires to try bending her finger to see if she could use a little force. Sires was in so much pain that she screamed aha. Thoughts appeared in her mind that her whole body was starting to go numb and her goosebumps were starting to go up. Below, Satis reached out his hand as if he wanted to grab something. His eyes became brighter, his lips smiled slightly, looking like he was about to accomplish a big goal. Sires panicked and didn't dare say anything. That's right, don't touch it, you're thinking in panic. Seijay up here is also suffering as much as she endures intense pain. She screams ha ha. She frantically thinks about the feeling of touch transmitted to her hand holding it. What is it? Sires seemed to have discovered something. He carefully analyzed it but quickly waited. This feeling was very familiar. He looked down with a black face and thought it was Satis he had discovered. Turns out that girl was Satis. Satis also had the feeling that someone was looking at him silently, wondering to himself, then the way you looked at me changed. Satis quickly grabbed something. What was he thinking? That was the trick from before, not paying attention to using the old technique. Satis panicked and pulled his hand back, guessing that he was not exposed. He called out to Satis. Something appeared from the ceiling, causing the ceiling to crumble. Ma Wong Wong Bai was playing tricks and had to stop. She warned that there was danger. At this time the demonic beast with the body of Lam Lang Ti Hai appeared because Ma Wong Wong Bai transformed into him and ran to Sires and told his master to protect me. The pile of dust fell, creating a barrier on the other side. Satis called Seijay to be exposed and quickly lead me away. Seijay replied yes. Sires only now regained his composure and realized that Satis had turned into a woman to approach him. Luckily, I discovered it early. Now I still can't use the system's ability and can't chase after it. At that moment, a notice board appeared announcing the end of the impersonation time. And all the smoke and dust had cleared. Cyrus at this moment, standing alone, looking at the hole that Satis broke to escape, he exclaimed and ran away so quickly. Complete the mission first, wait until you can use the system, then go find Satis later. But then Cyrus still warns itself, but after that, every evening when he saw a woman approaching, he had to think clearly. Then he immediately made a plan to go home first. There were many people in the city where it would be easier to complete the task. Finally, the notice board appeared. Once again announced that the return mission time 51.12 has been completed. At the gate of Area Z, where there are walls higher than a person's head and only one door is open as if waiting for someone to return. Nearby, there was a group of people waiting, who saw Cyrus approaching. One person shouted loudly, "Captain Cyrus was back," and then the so-called one-armed captain was standing tall. His name was Celit, the green-haired girl. Standing next to him was the vice president's secretary. Everyone was looking towards Cyrus. He quickly realized that the vice president's secretary also included Celit. Celit approached and held up a piece of paper with an arrest warrant. Cyrus wanted. Cyrus said, "Cyrus, you are a deserter and must be arrested. This is an arrest warrant for you to come with us for a trip." Cyrus was surprised. The secretary immediately ran to stop him. "Wait." She stood in front of Cyrus. "Seriously, say I'm Vice President Charton's secretary. We've been investigating the underground city. Boss's room is now empty. Unlike your report, we're in the process of canceling his arrest warrant," she announced. She continued, "You guys can't arrest him later. He still has to go to the association's dinner party." While the secretary was protecting Cyrus, he was counting something in his head. 1, 2.3. As soon as she counted to 3, Celit slapped the secretary so hard that she felt like she was about to fall to the ground. Cyrus quickly reached out to help Celit, who seemed not to care about what she said, and shouted angrily, "That dinner party scammer, only captains from level A and above are qualified to attend. He dares to say that he's the vice president's secretary. So I'm the president. Get out of here," he growled. "And then he hooked you." The sharp eyes continued to harass him and took her into the interrogation room. Over here, Cyrus is planning for her secretary to go find the vice president to ask for authority to directly get the notice to cancel the order. "Wanted to come save me, he will definitely help." After he finished speaking, he asked her if she could do it in 20 minutes. The secretary was surprised but still stammered and answered 10. 10 minutes is enough. Listen to her answer. Cyrus' secretary confidently said, "Later I will make them apologize," so she spanked their butts hard. At this time the notice board appeared announcing the time of the 23.42 return mission completed 1.10. At the interrogation room is not too big or too small, the equipment is simple, there is also a staircase, a table full of weapons and a group of people surrounding the interrogation table where Cyrus is sitting. As if Celit was waiting. "It's been a long time since this day," he quickly asked Cyrus with a black face. "Cyrus, do you remember why my right hand was broken?" Cyrus remained silent and did not answer. Without waiting for Cyrus to answer, he then recounted in detail the incident that caused his right hand to break. "Broken, I led my teammates to fight heroically with this monster, but because you ran away, you secretly attacked me from behind so that I had a chance to kill more than half of the team members. I had to sacrifice my right hand to keep it. The lives of the remaining team members." Cyrus listened thoughtfully to what he said. Then Celit angrily slammed her hand down on the table and pressed her head close to Cyrus's head, her eyes shining with peak anger. "Did you say that a deserter like you is worth it? Die." Cyrus, as expected, calmly said that in the face of the enemy, the guy who ran away deserved to die like an animal. Celit was angry and didn't understand what trick Cyrus was planning to do, so he didn't answer. In a moment, he turned around and called his junior to bring the hammer here. The junior received the order and immediately obeyed and went to carry the hammer to where Celit was standing. Cyrus, seeing that he was about to die, couldn't keep calm anymore and calculated. In his head, about 10 minutes were about to pass, the secretary was probably coming soon, and then he complained and was really upset. Now he couldn't use the system, he could only endure it. At this moment, a voice said, "Master." Cyrus heard the call and glanced down at Irg to see Ma Wang Bai clinging to Cyrus's side. She reassured him that he wouldn't be able to hurt you. "I sucked your blood essence. Even though you had just recovered a bit of your magic power, it was enough to deal with it. Torture from humanity is still abundant. I have a condition that after returning home, you must pay me back twice as much. Irg is now in the form of a very cute lizard but still has a magical look. Sayers immediately agreed. The hammer hit the table right next to Sayers' hand, but he couldn't pull his hand back because his hand was handcuffed to the table. Selit started torturing Sayers by letting him choose his fingers. Which one will be tortured first? He said, choose one of your fingers, we will start with that, or let me choose for you. Selit suggested. Was swinging the hammer to torture Sayers when a guy called her. I stepped on the door and shouted loudly, Captain, it's not good. This news made Selit stop. The junior continued to say that the vice president's secretary had brought a notice to cancel the Sayers arrest warrant to Selit. Hearing this was hard. Dumbfounded. The junior showed Selit the notice of annulment. He held the paper confirming that the notice of annulment was real. Then he was horrified to remember that the woman was actually the secretary of the Vice Association. One leader spoke up, does Sayers know the vice president? He didn't believe it and denied it. How could an F-level Yang-Ya guy know someone as high-ranking as the vice president? The bearded junior closest to Selit. Ma Gyu asked the captain if we would let you go. Selit immediately replied that he had seen the cancellation notice and that torturing him was illegal. The other guy seemed to want to confirm, so let him go. Sayers still sat at the table silently listening to what they said. Story. Selit seemed determined to take revenge, pushed the other guy away and said no. Now the junior was surprised by his boss's attitude at that time. He was extremely confused, then Selit denied it, I still haven't accepted it. Was informed of the cancellation, I didn't know this was happening. 2 hours later, he brought it to me. His face had become cold and seemed like he didn't care about the world. Sayers didn't expect the situation to change like this. Like this, his face changed color but he still didn't say anything. Selit boldly declared with sparks in his eyes that today he would definitely pay a heavy price. His hand took back the hammer. Outside the door, another junior is blocking the secretary from going in. He's stopping our team leader from coming out. I have no right to go in. The secretary looks fierce and determined to get in, so stay away from me. I'll go in and give him the cancellation notice, but the junior stops me that this is an interrogation room and I don't have the right to come in and out at will. While the two people outside, including the stubborn one, wanted to get inside, Selit swung the first hammer blow at Sayers's hand with all his strength. Even so, Sayers's expression was expressionless. Even though nothing had changed, he still calmly looked down at his hand. Strangely enough, Selit used all his strength to slap Sayers's hand, but his hand was still the same as if nothing had happened. Selit had never encountered this type of case before, so he asked his confused mind why this was happening. No broken bones, no blood, not even a scratch, he was wondering. On the other side, at the door, the junior was still preventing the secretary from entering. He said she really had no right to go in. The secretary immediately shouted to get away. From far away, a man walked in and asked if I had the right to go in there. The secretary turned back to the junior and also recognized someone. She just had time to say that. The door made a noise. And immediately after that, the vice president kicked in the door and walked in, holding a notice of cancellation of the pursuit in her hand. The secretary also leaned over to wait for the situation inside. Selit once again raised the hammer, intending to hit it again, but was also stunned. He noticed her pale face and stammered, Republic of Chartan, sir. He asked the deputy, President, why did you come? The vice president, with an authoritative look, held up a notice of cancellation of the Sayers arrest warrant, clearly stating that this was a notice of cancellation of the Sayers arrest warrant, and released him. Selit could no longer hold it. The hammer then dropped freely to the ground and replied yes. His expression didn't look much better. The fixed handcuffs were released. The vice president approached Selit to warn Selit as the captain. If you take advantage of your authority to torture subordinates, if you pursue this matter, at least your previous captain wouldn't be able to hold it back. Selit, upon hearing this, had a cold sweat on his face and didn't dare to cough a word. Sayers also stood up at this time. Selit spoke up to stop the vice president. I haven't received the cancellation notice yet, so I took action. My teammates can testify. Selit immediately turned down to ask for help from your juniors. Please help me. Let's say a few words, juniors, no one dares to offend the vice president. Hesitate on this. His eyes were averted but he silently replied in his mind, but Captain, we don't dare to offend the vice president. The vice president saw so he spoke up and had nothing to say. Sellet immediately saved the vice captain. Not that. He couldn't explain. He thought he could only ask his brother to help him on this trip. And he didn't know what to do. How come Sires came out to rescue me and testified that just now he didn't see the notice of Sellet's arrest warrant and was confused? He didn't expect Sires to come out to help him. Sires pointed at Sellet and continued saying I can't pursue him. Save the matter, you guys arrested me but you have to bow down and apologize to the secretary. The secretary who had been silently observing suddenly had her name called out and was bewildered. The notice board appeared again, announcing the time. The remaining time is 0:13. Hearing that, Sellet and a few of his juniors immediately bowed their heads and apologized to the secretary. They all said sorry, please forgive us. Sires stood behind him wiping his stick, intending to do something. Then he waved the stick angrily and said, how can you all be so rude to a beautiful secretary like that? You really have no manners. And then he gave each of them a slap. The cries like I-O-I tongue took turns taking the secretary of this side shyly blushing. Her lips smiled but the begging sound was still wrong and then dared to dare beat until the notice board appeared announcing that he had completed the task. He threw down the stick and sighed in relief. Finally the matter between you two was over and the secretary was done. Sellet heard that and immediately panicked. Sires, what do you mean? Sires walked over and picked up Sellet's hand. Now it's just between me and my brother. He immediately complained. Didn't you say you wouldn't prosecute your arrest? Sires' eyes flashed with anger. Here's the story about his arm. Sires held Sellet's hand hard, making him scared. It hurts. I'm sorry. Sorry, I was wrong. Sires, I was wrong. Please forgive me. He was scared. Sires heard that and immediately put his hand aside and successfully lifted his thigh, causing pain to his bones. His mouth answered. Sellet's bones broke in half again and the sound was lost, aha. Rang out. And finished. Sires turned around and left, leaving him lying on the ground with a broken arm. The junior kept calling for Captain Sires. After walking for a while, he said I forgive you. You walked up to the vice president and announced that now Daisy would take you to the dinner party. I had to go first and welcome the messenger Chung Gyeol Gyo Jung. After that, I would come find you. Sires was curious. Chung Gyeol Gyo Jung. They are the church, okay? Formed to eliminate all sanyum in the world, they have unmatched purification magic that can eliminate all bad toxins in the body. A girl appeared with half her face covered with silver hair. With two braids said that if you want to destroy sanyum, you must first fully understand that sanyum's extremely strong physical strength. In the hall of the dinner party of the Vice President Association and the messenger Chung Gyeol Gyo Jung stepped forward, surrounded by people. The men were whispering. Some were suddenly surprised. Wow, this is the saintess of Chung Gyeol Gyo Jung. Why are you talking about how cool her clothes are? Those guys are shameless, saying that the saint is wearing a dress like that. It seemed like it was a bit implying that she was wearing a very sexy outfit. The other person immediately replied that I thought so too. As she was walking, she heard the discussion and stopped. When the two people on both sides saw that, they immediately stopped. She felt guilty and thought to herself that she couldn't hear it. She immediately raised her voice and said that the church's mission is to destroy all sanyum in the world. If you want to destroy sanyum, you must completely understand sanyum, so you must completely understand sanyum. Of the church, we just dress like that. Don't use your evil eyes to judge us. After she finished speaking, the vice president came forward and scolded them for your two minds being so bad, sir. He ordered someone to slap his mouth 10 times. Hearing that, the other two immediately panicked and apologized. Vice President, we didn't mean it, please forgive us. The messenger Chung Gyeol Gyo Jung stood on this side, his face expressionless. Tak said there was no need. Then she continued in front of the guilty and embarrassed looks of the other men. If that was the case, then everyone here should be punished besides the vice president. He was surprised and wondered, oh, am I any different from them? He also had some fluctuations in his heart, but his body didn't have a big reaction, unlike other people, who had a big reaction. Sanyum increased dramatically. And he smiled shyly. Embarrassed, he raised his hand and scratched the back of his head and said that I am a person with a pure soul. This concentration still requires ho ho ho. A few people stood behind and whispered. I heard that the vice president is impotent. It seems to be true. Then, outside the association dinner party, Daisy and Sires got out of the car and she introduced him that this was the dinner party hall, so let's go in. He just said yes and then they both left. Entering. Near the gate, he asked Chungyeol Gyeojong's refined magic. Why was it so powerful? She answered yes, it was a special magic that only they had. She continued to speak even if she had a broken arm or leg, was sick, or was hit by a deadly poison. They can all be cured. Yang Ya is a risky profession. The Yang Ya Association in each area wants to cooperate with them, but they are all rejected. In her mind she is imagining them turning their backs and leaving. At the begs of others, she continued to say that they would not easily use magic to heal others because their hearts were impure. Hearing that, Sires raised her hand to look at the poisonous aesthetics on her body. Maybe they can solve it. I want to find them and try to see. She put the card into the scanner and was duly informed by the guard that the two of you had passed the job and invited in. As soon as you entered, he saw the group of people in the distance were gathering around a purple curtain. He was surprised. Why were they surrounding that place? She also didn't know what was going on, so she answered, I don't know. From behind, the vice president stepped up and said the saint who was experimenting, were we qualified to cooperate with Chungyeol Gyeojong? She turned around and respectfully greeted the vice president. He put his hands in his pockets and continued, if someone passes the experiment, that's fine. If we cooperate, the strength of our Z-Zone Yang Ya Association will be greatly increased. Sires just remained silent and silent. Female Ma Wong once again brandished her weapon to prepare to attack after seeing through Cyrus's attack trick. Even if her body was touched, she would still determined not to make any sound. She pointed to the blue stone centered on the top of the curtain and said, after you enter, the impurity level will be displayed on the gemstone. Whether you can cooperate with our church or not depends on the level. The purity of your soul, Yang Ya, in the association of other areas, no one passed the test. The people below heard that, whispering about the purity of the soul. What kind of test is it? In there? What's going on? What is the agency? She smiled and said, if you want to know, come in and take a look. And then Logan stepped up and loosened his tie. He was the captain of Team 7, Level A, 9th place. He said, let me try it. Look at me, I have an honest nature and have never done anything against my conscience. He walked in and on this side she just smiled lightly. After entering he was so surprised that his jaw dropped. In front of him was Myeoneo, a cat person wearing a black lace outfit, her mouth holding the strap of her shirt, lying down, looking extremely seductive, her tail sliding from one place to another. When he saw that, his face turned red and his mouth kept stuttering. He thought to himself, Myeoneo, this is my thread too majestic. Then she suddenly came closer and held up her huge breasts in front of him. He monologued to himself and her heart moved closer. At this moment she released the strap of her shirt, revealing her large breasts, then she let out an extremely sexy cry. When he saw that, his eyes lit up and his nose bled uncontrollably. The piece flowed down to his chin. He raised his hand and said, your breasts are so majestic, kitten. Come on, let me touch them. She smiled and asked again, what do you want to touch? He still had that eager look on his face, but said that majestic place said. Then she gradually raised her hand and said, no need to say any more, meow. Her face gradually changed color, became cold, her eyes lit up. She only said two disgusting words and then she flicked her finger at his forehead, causing him to fly from inside to outside. He screamed, oh my chin hurts. Messenger Chungyeol Gyeojong looked up at the stone and saw it displaying the number 88%. She silently said, impure 88% is indeed a guy with a dirty soul. The guys below pointed to the stone and said, look on the stone, it shows that Captain Logan is not pure 88%. The thing inside is definitely an extremely dangerous thing. Then Owen stepped up and cracked his knuckles and said, let me try. No matter what's inside, I'll deal with it. He's the captain of Team 6, Rank A, Rank 7. But after a bit he said was shot like Logan just now, his nose was bleeding. The people around him gathered around and asked Owen if he was bleeding too much. Was it okay? He had a satisfied look on his face and replied, I saw it. I didn't expect it to be that thing. Look on the stone displaying the number 92%. You guys suddenly asked 92% Captain Owen, what did you see in the end? He just replied, what are the weaknesses of men? Are you guys surprised? I don't have a weakness. I want to go try. Also, if we go, we can't make our association lose face. One after another, each person is competing to enter the displayed stone. 88%, 85%, 87%, 96%, 94%, 89%, 97%, 95%, 88%, 91% of the church's holy messengers were discouraged after seeing a series of extremely high results. She thought to herself that it was a waste of her time, and a person with less than 80% who doesn't have all has a dirty soul. It seems like there's no one here who can pass the experiment. And right now a determined foot steps forward. It's Sires, he said. I should try it too. What steps do you see him taking? I thought he was the last one. After entering, he saw the catgirl trying to grab him. She asked him softly if he wanted. Before he could finish speaking, he used his hand to forcefully push her face away. She was hit by him. Pushed back. He said with a serious face that it was a woman actively approaching him. He secretly thought that he needed to be on high alert. It was very likely that it was Satis. On the other side, Myeonyeo's eyes widened in surprise. You said this is the first man who actively rejected me. Nya. Outside, the messenger Chung Gyo Jung looked up at the stone displaying 0% and was surprised. 0%. The first time I saw 0%, I didn't expect that there was someone who could make my mind as calm as water. In here, he thought to himself that before confirming her identity, he needed to be more careful. She was sitting here still bewildered. System. The system has been opened to bind the enemy or not to use Satis's lost spear one-on-one. He frowned and clenched his teeth as he looked at the catgirl and thought he only had one chance. If he thought wrong, next time if I see Satis again, I will really die. Over here, the catgirl is thinking that this is the first time I have been rejected by a man and even pushed away. She raised her hand to cover her chest and continued to think. He stared at her body. But in his heart there was no Sanyum born. He even had hostility towards me. He kept staring at her. He thought he should always pay attention to her movements, but that place is really big. She bit her hand and kept thinking, this is even more difficult to deal with than the people who dream about my body. Then she started to show a cute and sexy face. She licked her hand and affirmed, in this heart is denying my ability to seduce. She slowly walked towards him with the thought that I will definitely make your insides waver. He saw her and thought of finding an opportunity to see if she had special male organs. She jumped up and opened her arms, saying, don't look at me with those hostile eyes, but give me a soft, warm hug. I hope you can erase the gap between us. Meow. She jumped up to hug him, but he had already moved away. She missed the hug and was surprised to continue. She thought to herself that she was being avoided and then she was rejected. Then, she jumped up towards him again and said, don't be so shy. Nya. Her face showed a sinister look. She secretly thought, to come feel my softness inside. You must have already. At this point he was sweating profusely. He leaned on his hands and thought this angle was very suitable. Just slide under her so he could see if there was something underneath. And when she jumped up, he slid underneath her. His face was red, but his eyes kept looking at her. He thought that if he moved his eyes a little bit, he could see. The catgirl saw that and thought to herself, even though she was, I dodged, but he still stared at my chest without blinking. But why did the two of us slide to different sides, a long distance apart? He put his hands on the ground and cursed at me. Completely unable to take my eyes and look away. That place is truly too majestic. She frowned and shouted, why obviously you are also staring at my chest like everyone else, and your body also reacted, but why isn't Sanyum so calm in his heart? Why in the end? He replied without any hesitation, because I am an upright person and I will not have any despicable thoughts towards him. With her body. When we are just born into this world, it is the breasts that give us breast milk and nutrition to help us grow healthy and survive. So I look with gratitude in my heart. Her chest. Hearing that, she suddenly blushed and then her face softened. She felt like he was a halo, a bright light. She couldn't stand firmly and fell down and sat down. She thought, he's the type of person. Nya. This is a difference in realm. You give up and say you pass the test and go out. Nya. Hearing that he silently asked proactively telling me to leave, turns out she's really not satis. He turned around, raised his hand in greeting and said goodbye, I am going out to detox. To everyone's surprise he walked out like a god of war. In there, the cat girl was cowering and saying that I really haven't practiced enough NYA. Some people outside are talking about 0% impurity level, it's too exaggerated, how can you just be a girl? It's not like he's not interested in the cat lady. He also has some opinions wondering if the stone is broken. The messenger Chung Gyeol Gyo-jung said this is the first time I've seen someone with a pure and flawless heart. Like you. You just ask me to pass the test and then can you use the purification and detoxification magic on me? She replied of course yes, then she turned to inform everyone now everyone go out. After the hall left only you and your brother, she sat on a chair and ordered you now I will detoxify you and let you lie down as she said, pointing to the floor. He agreed then lay down and said what else do you need me to do? She said don't move he just replied and he lay still.